Things were pretty close at halftime between the Cavaliers and the Lakers. Cavs up by just 2. However, in the third, that's when the Cavs turned it on.
Mitchell against LaRavia. Another three. Too strong that time. Ball batted around. Merrill comes up with it. Wade helped keep that alive. Tyson drives and finishes.
Courtesy NBA on ESPN. Good guys who win 129-99 as the Cavs outscored the Lakers 42-22 in that third. Donovan Mitchell, 25 points. Cavs have won a season-best 5 in a row. Jaylen Tyson helped out with 20 points. In the loss for the Lakers, LeBron James, 11 points on 3 of 10 shooting. In his return to Rocket Arena, there have been speculation that last night's game could be his last in Cleveland. The Akron native said he's not made any decisions about his future, but it very well could have been his last game in town last night. Browns officially hired Todd Monkin as the new head coach on Wednesday. The soon-to-be 60-year-old has been the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He's back in Cleveland after being the Browns OC in 2019. Reports say Monkin getting a 5-year contract, as this will be his first NFL head coaching job. The Browns hoping the defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz sticks around. However, reports say he was upset of getting passed over for the head coach opening and even told some staff members he has no plans to stick around. Schwartz is under contract for the 2026 season. On the ice last night, Cleveland Monsters win at Grand Rapids 4-1. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next now for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The afternoon drive.
They didn't get anywhere close to the guy that they envisioned when they started this whole ordeal. I got more people suggesting Kevin Stefanski should still have a job than not have a job today. What are we doing? Todd Monkin is your answer? That is not acceptable.
You wanted an offensive head coach?
That is the worst head coaching hire you could possibly have made out of the whole allotment of people that you brought in and interviewed and did everything else with. Do you think Todd Monkin at 59 years old is all of a sudden going to be some sort of coaching whisperer and some sort of magic coach? No, I don't.
Didn't you want an offensive head coach?
Do I think Todd Monkin's going to be here 3 years? I wanted a young offensive coach. I didn't want Todd Monkin. Todd Monkin last year with Lamar Jackson was 11th in scoring and 16th in points.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
I got to get a text back. All right, he's confirming it. Well, I'm not going to announce it. Okay, keep talking or the things are going to go off.
The very intriguing thing to me in all of this is that, like, we thought we would have this, yesterday, by the end of yesterday's show. And then it went on, and then there were Zoom meetings between the candidates.
For all three of them.
For all three of them, while everybody was chasing the flight patterns and looking to see where the flights were going.
You shouldn't have been looking at the birds in the air. You should have been looking at the animals that are running around on the ground.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Hell yeah, we got a coach.
Monkin's here. George is dead. Call me back.
Call me back. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, sometimes. Boy, it's surprise. So I got 3 scenarios. When do you want to hear them? Or do you want to just go by your first reaction?
Choose your own adventure.
All right. So let me, because I had 2 scenarios last night of what I think is playing out over the next 12 months. I got another scenario because I got another text overnight. And if you didn't like the hire, you're really not going to like this text. You're really not going to like this text. Oh, my God. Woo! Okay, first off, can I just say something? Mm-hmm. He's not a bad coach. Okay? I know it just feels like more of the same. So you're not happy about it. You're not happy about the process. Oddly enough, it was weird where I'm getting a lot of the people who said, to hell with Jim Schwartz, he shouldn't be the head coach. And then when we found out that Jim Schwartz had literally cleaned out his office, according to Tom Pelissero, that he threw everything in a box and left, which, again, is not the worst way a coach has ever exited that building. Even close.
Were you going through it mentally of
Yes.
Jim Schwartz and his muscles,
Yeah.
his tight shirts? He always wore kind of tight athletic shirts.
Yeah, he did. Well, he's in good shape. Jim Schwartz is in good shape.
I know they don't have a typewriter
I said
anymore,
it.
but all I could think about was him throwing that typewriter through the room while astonished onlookers gazed.
Did you ever see
the other way?
This is going to be a deep cut. You remember when Dennis Farina gets fired in Little Big League and he starts ripping all the stuff off the wall? You got to go deep into that one. That's kind of, go find that clip on the internet. That's kind of how I would think about it. But I probably think that he probably takes care of his things, and he put it all in a box and just walked out. I don't think he gave the bird. I think he said goodbye, and I'm never coming back. And I don't think he's coming back. But there were a lot of people who said, who cares? And then the minute they found that out, this is just a disaster. The process, probably not great, guys. Let's be serious here. Not great. However, when it comes to Todd Monkin himself, I don't think he's a bad coach. Now, everything else, though, seems to be a little bit nonsensical. You bring the guy back who, according to all the reports, was talking trash about everything going on pregame in 2019 to other coaches. Now, you could take that one or two ways. You could say, how could you hire a guy who was doing that when he worked in your facility? Or you can go, well, he's just telling the truth. It was a mess.
And now he gets to be the guy. Hopefully not that other guys get to bitch about.
Well, we'll find out here. So I don't think it's weird. I was certainly underwhelmed. No doubt. I was surprised, clearly, and you could see that at the end of the show yesterday when you were watching on YouTube Live or listening. There's a lot of hosts who goes, I'm getting text tone. Like, there's a lot of hosts who might do that. No, that was an odd day. That was an odd moment. I was clearly surprised. There's no doubt about that. I didn't think people would react well. They reacted even worse than I thought they would. It's been 20 hours. I want to know kind of how they feel about it now. I always think time changes things. But I will say he's not a bad coach. It's just he exists. The team exists. I think people don't know whether they're coming or they're going, and it just seems to be more the same gruel. We're in Brown's prison, and somebody just shoved the gruel in the slot and closed the door. Go ahead.
Boy, the he's a good coach thing is exactly what I stood in front of a room last night. The Americans of Italian Heritage Group. I spoke to them. They got my first thoughts on all of this, and I said exactly what you just said.
Paisanos? What's it called?
It's either the Americans of Italian Heritage Club or the Italians of American Heritage Club. Either way, they let women in now. Last night was the first time they inducted 4 new women into the group. So I'm speaking to them.
Is that their tag? We let women in.
Yeah. How many groups of Italians are you going to speak in front of?
No. It was great. Oh, my God. The food, the Dinos, and everything. So anyway, I said the exact same thing you just said, which was he is, no matter what you think of the process, no matter the fact that they led you down this path that it was going to be the next Sean McVay, and then they went and got Bruce Arians, right? Like their version of Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians isn't a bad coach.
And that ended up being, he was always a good coach. And I said to the group last night, I said, it's kind of stunning that Todd Monkin has not been a head coach by now, which you'd probably say had he not have been a head coach about Jim Schwartz, but he had been a head coach. It just went, ended poorly back then, and that was still on the minds of a lot of people. So I think the hardest thing for a lot of people to digest is they kept thinking it's either Udinsky or Shieldhouse. It's either the 30-year-old or the 35-year-old because this is our only chance to get those guys. We're never going to be able to be the top job to get the next guy, or even, I know he was older, even to some extent the Ben Johnson. Like, we're getting our hooks in early. Mm-hmm. And then it's, no, we're going with the 59-year-old, who is widely respected.
He's 60 next week. We should have a birthday party for him.
You know what?
I've sung happy birthday to a Browns coach before, and I swore I'd never do it again. But you know what?
Here we go. Different times, different measures.
Crazy person.
So this is exactly what happened. They got themselves a good football coach, which I can't believe he hasn't coached before. But everybody is going to sour on the process. I think it was an eye-opening process to even like the most delusional Homer fans had to finally step back and go, oh, this is why everybody makes fun of us. But in the end, come September, will he have a football team prepared on the field as well as I think they can be prepared?
I think they'll be organized.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be complete disorganization. And I've celebrated I had to think about myself because I've celebrated coaching hires before. I mean, I was really excited they hired Hugh Jackson, and he was not a good coach. And I'll just leave it at that. Obviously, I know you want more, but I ain't gonna give you more. And then Freddie was a good guy. Freddie was completely disorganized, with 100% disorganized, and
in over his head. You'll not say that about Todd Monkin.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will. Now, you got to pay attention to the coaching hires that he makes, the assistant coaching hires that he makes. He's already, it seems that it's been reported he's going to bring in George Warhop. Now, there's former Browns offensive linemen who are big fans of George Warhop. But I think a lot of Giants fans, and I found this yesterday, a lot of Giants fans thought that they were going to be getting him. And they were not too thrilled because it does seem that the first time around when George Warhop was here, his offensive lines were very good. And then after he was here, he spent a lot of time with different organizations, and it seems that, I mean, the proof's right now. It's PFF, so you can take whatever you want to out of it. It can't be the end-all, be-all, but there is evidence there that the offensive line rankings, it seems that everybody got better after he left. And we care very closely, we watch very closely, and we care very much about offensive lines here. So that might be one thing that we pay attention to, and we've obviously seen the best with Bill Callahan, and we saw the worst with Andy Dickerson. There's the best of offensive lines and the worst of them. So that's something we have to pay attention to. I think he'll be organized, but the reaction is not good. Jim's upset. I don't think he's coming back. We can break that down. I'm not just letting him out of his contract. If the 49ers want a piece of him, fine. You're going to have to give me something out of it. Can you get late draft picks for a defensive coordinator?
I think the hope is that you get some compensation.
Give me another. I need all the players I can get.
This isn't going to be like Callahan when we let him go. Okay. And this was we're being professional. In this case, no. I mean, he's and Callahan was valuable too, but Jim Schwartz really valuable. And he's been, it's got to be weird. And I don't want to make today's show more about the guy that didn't get the job than did get the job. But I have a feeling the callers may kind of go in that route. We'll see. Because man, yesterday that's the central question I got was more about Jim Schwartz than anything about Todd Monkin. But Jim Schwartz had been a trusted advisor down the stretch of the season. Now, you can read into that what you want, but Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Berry, let's be honest here. They had been consulting a lot of the ways with Jim Schwartz, so it stood to reason that Jim Schwartz was going to assume at some point he was getting this job.
Yeah.
And he thought he was getting this job. I don't know what happened. I don't know what kind of, call it a rift, a fissure, or a difference of opinion in that front office and ownership. But clearly, and I think you can read the tea leaves on this in kind of assessing some of the reporting that was coming in, even though all the reporters admitted that not a lot was being shared, but we kind of knew that Andrew Berry wanted to go young, right? Wanted to go really young with this hire, wanted to get that next Sean McVay. Jimmy Haslam seemed to support Jim Schwartz, and how did it come to be that neither of those two are the head coach today? It's pretty unbelievable.
I wonder if he just kind of split the baby, tried to find a happy medium. And also, I think that they want to hire somebody that they I think that Jimmy wanted to hire somebody that he trusts to also call the plays. And like Todd Monkin's going to call the plays. So he's going to be the head coach and he's going to call the plays, which I don't know if he's ever, I'm sure he called plays at Southern Miss. I'd have to go take a look. So he's probably called plays from the sidelines before because he's obviously got to be on the sidelines now as the head coach. I mean, you can try to do things differently. I don't know. Josina Anderson said a league source said that they should do co-head coaches with him and Jim Schwartz. I go, why stop there? Yeah. Let's have a board of coaches.
Let's flip a coin like Romeo Crennel before every game. Hey, is this going to be my game or your game?
I say get your cell phones out. You want to get people in the building coming up this fall? Get your cell phones out, pop open your apps. You tell us what to do on fourth down. It's your call, fans. Might as well.
Instead of the text line
coaches
to rat on your fellow 537
Who
boy.
The hell? I want to know the source.
You get to pick the actual play.
I want to know the source. I ain't going after her. Somebody told her that. I kind of want to go.
Oh my God. No, you know
I
what
want to find out who it is and go, you think that's a good idea?
No, you know
what it is? Or do you just think it's a good idea for the Browns?
Kenny, it's that old Zach Jackson adage that everything's believable with the Browns, that people are probably telling Josina things going, well, she'll put it out there and people will believe it because it's the Browns.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, co-head coaches, that's for Little League Baseball. Todd Monkin's the head coach, come hell or high water, come better or worse. Miles didn't seem to be a fan of it. He posted an Instagram post to which I say, yeah, that's Miles and Wadsworth. That's exactly what a Browns fan would post. You're here forever. You're going to have to make the best of a bad situation. You ain't going to get traded.
Well, we said yesterday.
It ain't going to happen.
We said
Clearly
yesterday.
not, because I got 3 scenarios to run by everybody at 6:20. I don't think you guys are going to necessarily care for two of them.
I was surprised that more of this hadn't been coming out. But, we said on the show yesterday that Denzel and Miles had gone to bat big time for Jim Schwartz. And, by the way, I saw some people say, why are you letting the players dictate any of this? No. It's kind of standard when you have veterans in the league and guys, one that's going to be a Hall of Famer, and Denzel, who, my God, if he can do this for another 5 years, we might be talking Hall of Fame for Denzel Ward. But you're going to take the temperature from those guys.
Now, they shouldn't be the decider.
No,
this isn't the NBA.
Nor clearly were they.
They aren't quarterbacks, and they weren't. Obviously, they weren't. But you do want to take the temperature of it. I would have to think that Jimmy knew how Jim Schwartz was going to react to this, so they were probably prepared for this type of fallout. They know each other very well through the last 3 years, and obviously Jim Schwartz is a guy who runs hot. And so I don't think that Jim Schwartz is going to coach here, and that's fine. I don't have anything against Jim Schwartz or have it out for Jim Schwartz, but I'm not just going to let him go to the Pittsburgh Steelers or the San Francisco 49ers for nothing. That would be something I'd go, no, you're going to give me something out of it. And if it's a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick, then I'm going to get another pick out of it. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna. If quarterbacks are currency, then damn it, a defensive coordinator is going to be currency. I'm going to get something out of this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Or I'll just let him sit for the entire year. Fine, I'll pay him to go away. It ain't my money. I don't care. And what's money when it all comes down to it? Todd Monkin got a 5-year deal, and to be frank with you, because of the roster that he inherits, I don't think he sees the end of the 5 years. I don't think he's a bad coach, but I think he's walking into a not great situation. And, the term bridge coach is going to be used a lot. And I don't think he's bad, but I don't know how he just turns this into something incredible.
I hate that term. I hate that term.
I don't like using it either, Tone, but here we are.
Because it's like, what did you assume that any coach was going to make it to 5 years? Were you going to bet on Nate Shieldhouse, the guy who'd never done it, or Grant Udinski?
This is where I'll disagree with you. They were more willing to bet on the 30 to 35-year-old than they were the 60-year-old. Because to me, I'll explain what it feels like here. Because I think it feels like something to finish off a career. That coming up here in about 5 minutes. And I got 3 scenarios to play out for you. I got a text last night I don't think you guys are going to like. And it's part of the 3 scenarios. And one seems absolutely crazy, and I think for your own sanity, you're going to hope that it plays out. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, 216-474-0092. We're here on The Fan.
92.3 The Fan.
Guy for 92.3 The Fan.
The Browns have a new head coach, Todd Monkin. You can listen to 92.3 The Fan all day on the free Odyssey app at 923thefan.com or by telling your smart speaker to play 923thefan.com.
Big one today. Mary Kay Cabot going to join us 8:20 this morning. What led to Todd Monkin? What happened? What happened that led him to Todd Monkin? And 9:20 this morning, Dave McMenamin, ESPN. LeBron wept yesterday. Still not more beloved than Jose Ramirez. 216-474.
Would have been great if Jose had gone to the game.
Got more on that coming up later. All right, I'm going to get to you guys here in a second. I got 3 scenarios that are going to play out. I got a text yesterday. I'm going to read that. I got it overnight. This would have been.
Is this about the horses?
No. Which, by the way, I really do wish you would have said that at 6 o'clock.
Well, I
know you
up.
didn't.
I totally
trust
screwed
it.
up.
It's amazing.
I was beating myself up over
guys,
it, too.
I have been pulled into offices
Were
over
you
things that
whipping
Lima
yourself
finds out.
back?
Whipping himself. They don't know. It's just the sound next to Lima's ear that makes Lima go. That's how it works.
Okay, that's what I'd say too.
Yeah, that's what I say. And if you listen at 8:30 yesterday, Lima said you got somebody at a horse farm who said that Todd Monkin was reaching out about moving his horses.
And I wasn't going to say anything. You pried it out of me because I thought it was lunacy. And even earlier in the show, in a break, I was kind of half smirking, half laughing, looking at my phone, and Ken's like, well, out with it. And I go, no, I'm not even going to tell you. And then finally you pried it out of me.
That's how you found out. That's almost how you found out about the London thing the first time around. Loose lips, man. You hang around with some high rollers, and they get a couple of drinks in them. They get all antsy in the pantsy, and they start telling you things. And here we are. You guys, the next time we go through a coaching search, about this time next year, what we need to do is pay attention to all the horse farms out there. Because for whatever reason, these guys, they make a lot of money, and they just want to get into horses. Here we are. Freddie Kitchens had horses. He has horses.
He said that was the biggest regret he had from losing the Baltimore job when they moved on from him there. This is Ryan Ripken's show.
I love horse racing. I'm bummed. I'm as bummed about losing this job as the Preakness perks I got. Now I don't know what I'm going to have to pay full price now. It's bullshit.
How did you find that? That's incredible. How did Todd, by the way, if Freddie had horses and he had horses, how did they not get along?
The horses? I'm sure they got along just fine.
Oh, no, I mean, Freddie and Todd. Was it like a thing where Todd looked at Freddie and was like, you eat butter and sausage by the carload, and then they started killing each other over the horses.
One was Arabian, one was calico.
They couldn't coexist. All right, so I got 3 here. 3 scenarios. I think either one of them I think one of them can play out over the next 12 months. You ready? Scenario the first. I think they like him. I think they think that they're closer than what we think they are, and they think that they are some offensive players. We already saw the Isaiah Likely thing. I'm like, I'll take Isaiah Likely. Come on over. The water is warm. I think that they like Isaiah Likely, they like Todd Monkin, and they think that if they can get some people and add, that they can be much better than where they were last year at 5 and 12. What do you think about that? I think that is probably a likely scenario.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that because think about it. I mean,
that doesn't take a lot of stones for me to say. I'm just you have to point out the obvious.
Like to hire a guy that's turning 60, it stands to reason that that they feel like they're ready-made. They believe whoever the defensive coordinator is, they obviously think their defense is going to be really good.
Uh-huh.
And so I said at the end of the year by watching the playoffs, I'm like, man, even average quarterback play, even what would you say that is? Not Bo Nix was above average this year. Who's average right now? C.J. Stroud during the regular season was kind of average. Mm-hmm. Had they have gotten that, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So do they think Todd Monkin can get that quarterback room? or somebody else to come in and be average. Boom, playoff team.
So which of the next two scenarios do you want to hear first? Do you want to hear the bad scenario, or do you want to hear the good scenario?
Always, I want the bad. I always want
first.
The bad.
Okay. Well, then this goes to the text I got last night. It says, quote, Monkin wants Watson. So they're going to do the sunk cost.
Should have started out with the good.
Sorry. They're going to do the sunk cost. It's right there. Whatever
now
you
hold
want.
on. Now hold on. And that's somebody that knows or does or is speculating.
Yeah, well, everybody's like, well, he wants some quarterback who has some shake. Obviously, he can move.
Well,
I don't know if he can move as well as he used to. Well, we see the videos. I mean, he's working out like crazy, and maybe he can move as good as he did. It's been 2 years.
I wondered about that because I thought to myself when I watched Shador, when they even put in some RPOs at the end of the year, and Shador took off and ran a few times to help keep some drives alive at the end of the year. I was like, man, that's nowhere near peak Deshaun Watson movement, but that's something to build on. What is the Deshaun Watson movement at this stage of his career post-surgeries? I have no idea.
That's part of it. And I think Owen wants to say it, and I'll just say it right now, is for the Shador fans out there who are like, this is Shador's job. Is it?
Well,
because if I'm getting that, and it's like, well, we're paying him $46 million a year, we might as well kick the tires. We might as well decide to see whether or not this guy can do it again. And while I think a lot of fans right now who are driving in some bad weather on the east side might not be thrilled to hear that, I think that might very well be the truth of the matter. Yes.
Well, the people that I talked to yesterday in the group I was with brought up that what were the teams that wanted to draft Shador last year?
Yeah, Baltimore was one of them.
Baltimore was one of them,
yes.
And who was the OC?
And it was Todd Monkin. You are absolutely correct about that. You are absolutely correct. And obviously,
that came up more than once
at that time. And you are right. And I would, any Shador fan out there, any Browns fan who likes Shador out there, and I'm a Browns fan who gets pretty defensive over Shador because I think some of the conversation is ridiculous. That was the first thought I had. I go, hey, that's a leg up. But when I'm getting texts about that, it's like, okay, again, who loves a sunk cost more than the Cleveland Browns? Who loves to squeeze anything they can out of everything they've already got and try to pay off their own decisions more than the Cleveland Browns? And if you're stuck, and you are, nobody's picking him up right now. If you're stuck, then here's a guy who maybe he walked in and goes, you know what? There's gold still there, and I can work with him. And maybe that was something that said something to them. $46 million is a hell of a lot of money. You would like to get your money's worth. There's a third scenario. You want to hear the third scenario?
Okay.
Third scenario is, and this is the crazy one, and maybe for our own sanity, this is the one you want to play out. I can only go by history. They know they're not going to be good. He's going to be 60 next year, or next week. He's a 60-year-old man. He might be at the end of his career. This is a way to cash out at the end of a career. He's been a good offensive mind. Again, it will not pass my lips until the season starts and they actually start losing games and he makes some stupid decisions. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it's not going to pass my lips. I don't think he's a bad coach. In fact, I think he's actually been pretty good throughout his career. He's not bad. However, maybe he's at the end of it. He gets this head coaching job. You get this one last run. He's a bridge head coach. I know you hate that term, and we can get into it. We got 4 hours and a hell of a long offseason to do it. They've done it before where they went 1-31 for a quarterback. You know how the second half of the season went down in Texas. They know that they got a lot of dead weight on that roster. And they might know that they're not going to be a very competitive group. And they do have the easiest strength of schedule, so it's going to be tough to do it. And I don't like to root for losing. I never will. But, I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, Arch Manning's out there.
Well, okay, in this scenario, is Myles Garrett quitting the team? Because a team with Myles Garrett, you just saw it. You saw it against Pittsburgh. You saw it at the end of the year against Cincinnati. You saw it against the Raiders. You saw it against Miami. A team with Myles Garrett is incapable of tanking.
You're right. That is all up for grabs, though, because he's upset. He's clearly upset by his Instagram story. They may very well just go, you know what, enough's enough. We'll take that cap hit too. Now that is the most, to me, I think it's the most unlikely scenario. That's why I called it the craziest scenario. But this is a team that is, everybody's obsessed with quarterbacks. I don't know if anybody is more obsessed with a quarterback than the Cleveland Browns. And They love to pay attention to their own history. They love to overcorrect their own history. And for the longest time, I did not think they would ever allow themselves to go back to 1-31. That it would, not that it would ever be good, like consistently good, but never to the point of 1-31, uninteresting, not really even likable in so many ways. And I'm like, well, the Manning family, it's Arch. He played exceedingly well in the second half. If he plays exceedingly well this year, he's going to be number one with a bullet. And they might just be saying, you know what, we've done this before, to hell of it. I'm sick and tired. And they're just going to go ahead and they're going to do what's necessary to go get Arch Manning. Again, I gave you 3 scenarios. The most likely scenario is probably the first one, that they like Todd Monkin and they don't think they're that far away. Mm-hmm. And we're going to continue to go through this, and we're going to hope against hope that it's going to go our way. The least likely scenario is the one I just gave you because I think it's the hardest one to pull off, easily the hardest one to pull off, and it just seems to be fantastical, and it seems to be insane. And then again, for your own sanity as a long-term Browns fan, how many guys out there are not hoping that that's the one? I think a lot of people are hoping, like, okay, well, we've been losing. I guess I'll sit through another year of losing if it means Arch Manning. Because I look at a team like Buffalo, the only thing that makes Buffalo any bit of a respectable franchise right now is Josh Allen. Let's call it what it is. I heard Ross Tucker yesterday. He hit it out of the park yesterday about Buffalo. The only thing that makes them a respectable franchise is Josh Allen. If they did not have Josh Allen, they'd be right here in the whirlpool with us. And so if you have a quarterback, it covers up for everything. And not that we'd be out of the woods with Arch Manning. Who knows how he'd be as a pro? I don't know, but maybe they're going to take their chance. Or more than likely, it's me getting ready for another tough season and me trying to make myself feel better. That's probably the most likely one out of it. Because I don't think that Todd Monken's a bad coach, but I think we'll probably get more of the same because he doesn't have a whole lot to work with right now. And the ones that he does have something to work with are so young. Mason Graham has not played anywhere near his best football yet. I think he will, but I still think he's 2 or 3 years away. He's a defensive lineman. They have to develop. You're not disagreeing with me at all. Do I still have you? Because you're nodding at. Okay. More than likely the first. I just laid out the 3 scenarios for you. When are we going to get to LeBron? 7:20?
And his thoughts on Todd Monkin?
Yeah. 216-474-0092. We'll get to you guys. Which scenario do you think is more likely to play out? And have your ideas changed over the last 20 hours about Todd Monkin? Have you cooled your jets? Have you held your horses on Todd Monkin here over the last 20 hours? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Mary Kay Cabot, 8:20 this morning on The Fan.
I'm Pierre Palazzolo.
2. Google the Young Team and start packing.
An accident 90 East at 254 has the right shoulder blocked. Heavy congestion 480 west from the Turnpike to 271. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Catch the latest Browns news all offseason long. Stream us on the Odyssey app and on your smart speaker by telling Alexa to play 92.3 The Fan.
All right, let's get to it. 216-474-0092. Have you cooled at all? Were you mad? Were you excited? Were you nonplussed when they hired Todd Monkin yesterday? When it officially came out that they had hired Todd Monkin yesterday, have you cooled off since then? Are you less excited, more excited? A lot of people were upset. I'll tell you this. There was a guy clearing out the snow in the cul-de-sac from the city yesterday, and he asked who the head coach was. I said Todd Monkin. He was actually happy. I go, really? He goes, yeah. I go, you didn't want anybody? He goes, nah, the Nate Shieldhouse guy was too young. This guy was not, he was like our age, Tone. Like, he was not an old guy. So that was one. I was like, okay. I said the internet certainly disagrees with you, but it's early. Certainly early. And I said these things have a tendency to, when they're met with very strong, I mean, the history here, there's been a lot of people who've hated head coaching hires before. And then like 24 hours, things kind of cool off. And then when I saw the Jim Schwartz stuff, I go, I don't think things are going to cool off. I mean, Jim Schwartz packing up his boxes and saying, I'm out of here. That tends to change a few things. 216-474-0092. Let's go to the phones. Vincent in Virginia. You're listening on the free Odyssey app. Yellow.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful. Go right on ahead.
The Browns have done what the Browns do. The most dysfunctional organization in the history of sports has done it again. I understand this was a Haslam selection, Monkin. They said Barry wanted Shieldhouse, but Haslam went over his head and selected Monkin. This has set the Browns back at least 3 years or more. They got to get used to a whole nother coaching staff, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, line coach, everything. This is horrible. I can no longer be a Browns fan. Been a Browns fan 62 years. Can't support this crap no more.
You're done after this.
We'll see you in September.
I'm done. I'll go to the Houston Browns, who we gave all our draft picks to, before I'll support this crap. I'm not staying around for another 3-4 years of rebuild. It's ridiculous.
You don't believe him, Tom?
Who did you want?
No.
Who'd you
I
want?
wanted Schwartz. He has 50% of the team in order. The defense, you have your whole defensive staff in place. He has respect from the offense and the defense. So why would we break that continuity to bring in somebody who's never been a head coach in the NFL? Never. It doesn't make sense. This organization is so damn stupid.
All right, now.
And the fans deserve better than this crap.
What could they do to get you back?
Nothing.
There's nothing at all. You're
so
done.
if they actually start winning games, you're still out?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be like, what if they start off 3-0 next year?
No. I believe the Browns won't win 2 games next year.
Okay, what if they draft Arch Manning next April then?
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother year. Who wants to go through another year of crap?
Well, are you saying you'd be? I'm just trying to see where the threat. This was an interesting threshold to say, Todd Monkin, I'm done. What would be the threshold to bring you back?
Honestly, Ken, I can't even tell you. I'm so sick and tired of the dumb stuff that we do or the Browns do as an organization. You had 50% your room intact. Now work on the other 50% through free agency, trades, all this. I hope they trade Shador. I hope Miles fakes an injury and doesn't play most of the year, something. Because Haslett is a joke, an absolute joke of an owner. And I just feel like they've set the franchise back at least 3 years. Maybe, they'll make some noise if they draft Manning, but I can't do it.
All right. Vincent, I asked. You answered. Thank you very much for the call. That's the first one out of the box. Austin in Broadview Heights. Hello.
Hey, guys. Ken, I just wanted to talk about, I think, honestly, that you hit the nail on the head with the whole Arch Manning thing. I know you said you think it's the most unlikely thing, but I think it was last season that report came out that Jimmy Haslam is, reportedly in love with Arch Manning and the Manning family. I think how he looked at it yesterday, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was upset when I found out the news at first. But the way I'm looking at it now, almost 24 hours later, is maybe Todd Monkin could have been the one that wanted Shedeur in Baltimore. So maybe because of the obsession at the quarterback position for Haslam, he's looking at it where maybe Monkin can try to untap that potential he sees in Shedeur. And if Shedeur doesn't end up working out, if Monkin doesn't end up working out, and the team ends up being horrible next year, then Jimmy Haslam gets what he wants. If Arch Manning ends up balling in college, then he gets another chance. He'll pick him number 1 overall. Then we'll be right back to square one, just like we were in 2018 with Baker, and we'll go from there.
Now, brother, that sounds good, but what about the text I got that Monkin wants Deshaun Watson?
Oh, man, yeah. Ben, I don't know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to lie to you, Ken.
Yeah, like Austin, like I think that the third scenario I played out, the Arch Manning scenario, Austin, thank you, is the one that I think fans right now, I mean, it's January. I think that that's the pie in the sky one that they would hope for, but there's a lot of things that just have to fall your way, and you have to go out and lose. And I don't want to root for him to lose. It would defy all my principles of everything I've argued about my entire life. I don't want to fight for losing. We reach points in season where I won't yell at them for losing. We get to that where I'm not mad that they didn't win, but
I'm not going to do look, when LeBron James was available way back when for the Cavs, that whole season was about finishing with the worst
the NBA.
record.
I'm different about the NBA.
And that's the NBA, and we've had it out over all the tank stuff. I'm just telling you that maybe you could tell me if it's a way to cope or whatever. I am operating as if there's zero chance that the Browns can finish with the worst record in football because of that defense and because of that schedule. So if it happens, it happens, and maybe this time next year, I'm going to have a smile. I'm going to have a grin ear to ear, like, holy cow, we can really do it. But in the meantime, I'm assuming that can't happen because I just saw how dominant Myles Garrett was this year, and unless you're holding him out of the entire season, there's just no way they're going to finish with the worst record in football.
I know you're looking at it like it's completely ridiculous, but it's not like they don't have a track record where they've done it before. I mean, it's happened before. Now, you ended up picking the fourth best quarterback out of that draft. Still a good quarterback. That means it's just a good class, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not a hit on him. It just ends up being the fourth best out of that class. This would be for one person in particular, and who already looks like he would be. And I know that what Austin had just said about the Manning family, Haslam loving Arch Manning. I mean, I think any owner is going to love Arch Manning. I think you're going to find 32 owners who are going to love Arch Manning unless they already have Patrick Mahomes. So you got 31 owners who are going to love Arch Manning. That goes without saying. But they've done it before where they have been, okay, this hasn't worked. It's not working. We have all this that we have to shed over time. We might have some young players that we can hold over here. And they do. And they did even in 2016, getting ready for 2017 when they went 0-16. But this has been done before for a quarterback. And they may go, you know what? We just ain't going to make the same mistake we made before with the other guy. And we're going to take this guy, and he's going to be better than the other guy we took. And that's going to be the end of it. I don't think it's out of the question. I also know that I'm a hopeful Browns fan and want this thing fixed by the time my sons graduate high school.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I understand that what I'm saying might not be the most realistic thing on a Thursday morning.
I have zero desire. And, again, we have had it out like no other show, maybe in this city's history, on the argument about tanking. I'm just telling you right now, I have no desire to sit there and look at the Todd Monkin hire and say, yeah, they hired him to lose games. I just have no desire. Like, why even show up to work over the next year if that's the case?
And getting a paycheck?
That would be...
A lot of people show up to work just for a paycheck.
Honestly, I could not stomach that. I would have not a lot of desire into doing those shows.
You can stomach this?
Because I think they...
And by the way, you've stomached it before. We were on the air together when they did that.
I think it's more reasonable to believe that they think they're closer than they probably are, that they're a little delusional. And you know what? I'll even buy into a lot of that because their defense can be so good. Can they be that way without Jim Schwartz? Remains to be seen, but they've got the pieces and parts.
You know how bad things have to be where that is like the dreadful scenario about it? Because it's like, okay, they got a good defense. I know they have a good defense. I don't believe the people there were a couple people, and there's always going to be some who, anybody can call this defense. No, I mean, they still had a lot of these guys, even when Joe Woods was calling the defense, and we hated the defense. So I do think that you have to be able to replace coordinators. I think you have to have that ability.
They better figure this out pretty quickly.
You're exactly right. And I'll use the Bill Callahan argument later on. Remind me about that because I think it's apropos. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, this is a part where I don't think a lot of fans want to go through this for nothing again. And I think a lot of fans look at that QB room, they don't see a lot. And I got guys who I respect, and they're like, maybe Daniel Jones coming off an Achilles injury. Okay, maybe Anthony Richardson. No, I'm not interested in him. Maybe Kyler Murray. Absolutely not. I'd want to hit my head on this table until I pass out. These are answers that I think that the Browns know that, like, hey, none of these guys are going to bring anybody to the stadium here. What about Arch Manning? What about him? What about him? And so, yeah, your mind tends to go crazy. Your hopes tend to go crazy because it's the only way out of this. We've had the best player in the history of the Browns on defense, and he's putting out memes last night about how he doesn't like the hire. This is where we're at. So, obviously, when we've had the greatest player in defensive history for the Cleveland Browns, an old franchise who's had tremendous players playing before, and he's posting memes about it, it's like, what are we holding on to here? So, yeah, I'm not going to blame anybody who goes, yeah, maybe Ken, you're right, maybe Arch Manning, because it'll drive you crazy if you don't have any hope. Sorry for yelling at you. Got you guys coming up, and whether or not it's over for LeBron, coming up at 7:20 on The Fan. Start it. Go ahead.
XTEND, AV.
and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
92.3 The Fan's big game coverage is presented nationally by Tide. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
Hour 20 away. What led to Todd Monkin? Mary Kay Cabot, she's going to answer that question coming up at 8:20 this morning. Dave McMenamin, 9:20 this morning. Was last night the last time in Cleveland for LeBron? I don't think it was. I'll explain why. What'd you think of Todd Monkin?
Todd Monkin, Kenny.
Oh, God. Oh, what a way to go.
Obviously, it's just surprised when you think you're getting one of the young, hotshot candidates that the league was starting to salivate over, that just had so much relative inexperience that it was probably the only reason you had a real chance to hire those guys. It is stunning to see them go from there to where they ultimately finished up with a guy that's turning 60 next week. That had never been a head coach before, but that the league had nothing but great things to say about him. You can't really find. And also, outside of his 1 year in Cleveland, which seemed to be the worst probably coaching year that he was a part of, and we obviously have the quotes from that season and how disgruntled even Todd Monkin was by the end of that, because that's what a year in Cleveland can do with the Cleveland Browns for a lot of these coaches, even the venerable head coaches, even the ones that have a nice track record. And he certainly has a nice track record and did some good things in Baltimore. Didn't end well, never does end well. We've talked about that to death. But I was stunned. Ultimately, if you would have told me that they were getting rid of Kevin Stefanski and the guy that was going to replace him was Todd Monkin, I think that would have been a stunner for a lot of people. I wonder if I would have given you those choices at the end of the year after they won those last two football games, and people would have said, well, then we'll just keep Kevin Stefanski. If we get to keep Schwartz, then yeah, We'll keep that and hope to get a better quarterback.
I had two different sets of friends that they're all season ticket holders that didn't understand why, if they weren't going to go young, they weren't really overwhelmed by any of them, but if they weren't going to go young, if they were going to go older, why they didn't just give it to Schwartz. Because my one buddy compared it to, he goes, they're the same person, one's just offense and one's defense, but they're the same, kind of. It would be a retread, even though Monken's never been a head coach. He's been in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And it seemed more, I don't even know that they were mad. They were just kind of baffled by why it unfolded the way that it unfolded.
Do you think, I don't think he would have, but I want to throw it by you guys. Do you think that he would have acted the same way? Jim would have reacted the same way? I don't know how he acted. Apparently just packed up his things and left. Do you think he would have reacted the same way had it been Nate Scheelhaus? See, I don't.
Boy, that's interesting.
Can I explain why I don't?
Go ahead.
It's like, hey, man, you're going to hire a 35-year-old coordinator who's never been here. He might have his, or who's never called plays, even though I would probably think Jim Schwartz is probably thinking that that's overrated too. But either way, you're going to hire a 35-year-old guy. Fine. That's the way the league goes. He sees it. He's got an agent. They're not stupid. He's got common sense. You're going to hire another 60-year-old guy. Forget this. I think that's kind of the way that Jim Schwartz sees it. You're going to hire another guy who's my age. To hell with this. That's what I think he's thinking.
If it would have been Scheelhaus, I wonder if Schwartz would have been like, why have you wasted my time? Why have you wasted our time having me even answer questions about this even before the interview? Why had we had conversations? At some times, and the way that it had been portrayed to me was that Schwartz was kind of a consultant, towards the end of the year, because they knew, and maybe Kevin knew, that this thing was ending. So I know that might look poorly.
But it also goes back to what I brought this up on the air the other day, and I was told this, that Jim would not have been a problem for Nate. And Nate Scheelhaus was told that by a former Cleveland Brown personnel person, that Jim wasn't going to be a problem for him. This had to be discussed in both interviews with Jim. This had to be discussed throughout the time. And I think that probably he looked at it and thought, okay, they'll give me the job if it's going to be a 60-year-old guy. But if it's a 35-year-old guy, you could look at it and go, hey, he's a proud man. He's not here to change anybody's diapers. Might have very well thought that way. But when it comes to this, It's like you're going to hire another 60-year-old dude, and I got to sit here and work for this guy again after I've been with this team, after Myles Garrett loves me, after Denzel Ward loves me, after what I've done with this defense. I think he felt that way. And by the way, that might just be hopeful too. I mean, he may very well have reacted the same way had Nate Shieldhouse got the job. He may very well have done it. And that would have been a very, very, very sticky thing.
If you were to poll our fan base after they won the final game of the year, they won the final 2 games, guys did not give up on Stefanski. If I would have told you that you get column A or column B, and column A is Todd Monkin, no Jim Schwartz, or column B, Kevin Stefanski and Jim Schwartz, what are people saying?
If I was to get Kevin Stefanski and no Jim Schwartz?
No, Kevin Stefanski and Jim Schwartz, you run it back, or you get Todd Monkin and no Jim Schwartz, and you're looking for a replacement. Where do you think our poll would have been?
They would have rather run it back.
I kind of feel that way, too.
Yeah, they would have rather run it back because there's trust in Jim Schwartz. I want to play Ross Tucker here because I actually disagree. I thought Ross Tucker was right about everything except one thing. And here was Ross Tucker talking about Jim Schwartz yesterday on Nick and Jonathan's show, Afternoon Drive. Hit it.
If you've been around Jim Schwartz, I think they had a pretty good idea he wasn't going to be happy about it. And nor should he. I mean, I think he went down this process far enough and thought he had a really good chance at it. I'll say this, and I know some people listening are going to disagree with me. I have a healthy appreciation for the Browns process and the fact that they even interviewed Schwartz and Monkin. It feels like all these other teams interviewed like the same 5 guys. Can we get some original thought? I think experience matters. I love that Monkin's getting his first chance as NFL head coach. I think Schwartz would be much improved in a second chance as NFL head coach. Obviously, it'd be great if they can find a way to keep him.
See, that's the end part that I don't agree with. Everything. I mean, Ross Tucker's great. It makes a lot of sense and was awesome during that interview yesterday, really. Here at 923thefan.com. I think after this, if he's actually cleaned out his office, it's over. We're done. You're going to have to find a different defensive coordinator. I will trade Jim for a pick later round. I asked you that. I guess that's possible. We'll ask Mary Kay if that is actually possible coming up. I haven't heard about defensive coordinators getting traded for picks, but hey, it's a crazy world and it's a crazy league.
Compensation there.
We're done because he's already shown what he thinks. The second things start to go wrong, and they will start going wrong, you and I are going to have some really memorable shows over some of this stuff that's going to happen, and you can't have that. You can't have it. So I can respect where Jim Schwartz is coming from. I don't think that he's throwing a pity party or anything like that. Not at all. I can respect where he's coming from. He's a proud man, and he's done a fine job here, and it's probably at its end. I can't. We can't have this. It's public now, and now that is in the back of every Browns fan's mind. Every time there's a turnover on offense, every time there's a failed fourth down, every game you lose, that is going to be in the back of every Browns fan's mind. And you can't allow it to happen. 216-474-0092. So as much as I'm a big fan of Jim Schwartz, and I think he's done a great job, it ended yesterday. Let me get to Jacob in Geneva. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Jacob.
Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Tone. How you guys doing?
Doing wonderful, friend. Go right on ahead.
You guys hit on it perfectly. It boils down to what the caller said in the first hour. You have 50% of your building already aligned with the defense. You talked about it before you went to break. Miles from Wadsworth is posting a meme. What's going to happen? Jim Schwartz is going to leave. You're going to have to change the entire scheme. We all agree the scheme is what made the defense great, correct?
Yeah. Well, you do got good players. You do got really good players. Now, the scheme, I think that there's a way more hybrid schemes than ever, and I think you always have to be ready to replace coordinators. But yeah, he's done a really good job with them. Go right on ahead, Jacob.
Okay, but my thing about that is the players love him. You already seeing Miles posting the meme.
Yes.
He's going to ask to be traded because even if you do keep Jim Schwartz, he's only has 1 year left on his contract. He's not signing an extension. So you're already going to have to change the coordinator whether he stays or goes this year or not.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you going to find that? Now you got to redo the whole defense. Are they going to buy into the scheme? Are they going to buy into the coach? You see what I'm saying? This is going to set the Browns back at least 5 years because the head coach isn't going to be able to deal with that too.
5 years?
Jeez, that's strong. I don't want to go back that far, Jacob. Now you bring up several things I think that we need to discuss. All right.
I don't. You know what? I can't stand the 5-year thing. Just because what would they have been saying in New England when the Gerard Mayo thing was so obviously a disaster? People would have been saying this is going to set the Patriots back 5 years. Following year, they're in the Super Bowl. It's like
quarterback.
Jacob is more than welcome to take that opinion back at the end of this coming season. Like you can always do that. But as Jacob sees it right now, I don't think it's going to set him back 5 years either. I want to push back on that as well. But also, it's like, hey. And you bring up, this is why I want to use it as a leaping off point there, Jacob. This will be a test of the professionalism of the defense. It wasn't always going to be this way. It can't always be Camelot with you and your defensive coordinator. You're going to have to be guys who earn your paycheck and go out there and play well. So it is going to be a test because has that not always been the thing? We need leadership out of the locker room. We need guys to go ahead and lead forward out of the locker room. In the defense, there's been a lot thrown on their shoulders here over the last couple of years. This offense has sucked out loud for 2 straight years. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put even more on you. This is where it goes. I'm going to have to ask more of you guys. So if we're going to sit here and we're just going to walk around out there because we don't like whoever the DC is, that's not going to work. But if you guys are playing your asses off like you have in the past and the system isn't working and we're not doing the right things like we saw with Joe Woods, with some of the same players, not all of them, but some of the same players that was over 3 years ago now, then we can have ourselves a discussion. Because I didn't think that they were half-assing it with Joe Woods. I just didn't think Joe Woods was getting the best out of them. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. Well, Jim Schwartz has gotten the very best out of a lot of these players.
Yeah, and I thought that too, because if you go back and you get the sentiment of the Browns fans before that Joe Woods season, fans thought the defense was loaded. Remember, they had Jadeveon Clowney. They thought that defense was absolutely loaded for Bear just about everywhere. This year, and I think there's been some revisionist history on this, and this is why I think you got to give Schwartz credit. Do I think that it can't be coordinated by anybody but Schwartz? No, of course not. It's the NFL. There are other guys that I'm sure could do it. Could they do it to the level that he did it? Someone with his veteran savvy, somebody who has coordinated in the Super Bowl in a victorious way and laid out a victorious game plan. Look, I do think that he was a very valuable part of the team. And I just look at guys like who do they trade for, this year? Tyson Campbell.
Yep.
Malik Collins just had his best graded year as a pro. That doesn't just happen with any coordinator. I think you got to give Schwartz some big-time credit for his ability to put those guys in that scheme and for them to play out the string throughout the year. That's the other thing. That's the identity that Schwartz brought to the table, that defense, they were not going to give up. The fact that the special teams were that bad and put them in so many bad spots, the fact that the quarterback play was that bad and put him in so many bad spots, and yet the defense, I mean, with the exception of a few terrible drives, I know the Carson Wentz thing got brought up, but holy cow, did that defense,
he's done a fine
they were
job.
Resilient, and they kept their identity.
Yeah, I'm not going to act like we ain't losing anything because he's gone, because I'm a Browns fan. It's a loss. It was the same thing with Bill Callahan. I'll explain more about that coming up in a little bit. We got a lot of opinions who people want to get in. I want to get you guys in. Got a lot of stuff online. We want to get you guys in. Mary Kay's at 8:20. We got Dave McMenamin at 9:20 to talk about LeBron. And I got to get this off my chest next because LeBron, he's a softie. We saw that last night. He's also a businessman. This ain't the end. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
Hey, don't be pressured.
92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Every road arena that I've been in, take everything in, not take the moments for granted, because it could be, I obviously haven't made a decision on the future, but it very well could be. So obviously it means a little bit more here for me personally because of, grew up 35 minutes south of here.
That's LeBron James post-game. Yesterday he got emotional during the video tribute that the Cavs showed of him. I'm going to get this off my chest. I know we got a lot of Browns to get to. We got Mary Kay coming up at 8:20. He's a softie. I think that he cares very much about the legacy of the NBA, his legacy within the NBA. I think he cares about all those things. I also don't think it's over.
Didn't expect that, but obviously a lot of memories here, a lot of history. Just super grateful and thankful, for the time, spent here and the memories. Obviously looked up there. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. Obviously underdog going against that Detroit Pistons team, and for us to win that game and then ultimately winning Game 6, I believe, here and going to the NBA Finals, it was a pretty cool moment.
Well, if we didn't just hire a head coach yet last night with the Cleveland Browns or yesterday morning, there'd be a lot here to really discuss because I don't think it's over. And I also think that the Cavaliers, if Dave McMenamin is correct, and I have no reason to disbelieve him, and I'll ask him this coming up at 9:20 this morning, with Dave McMenamin saying that the Cavs would be very interested in bringing him back. I think the Cavs just started the clock on this season and the core that they have. I think the core four now has there was the doomsday clock yesterday, the news that came out yesterday morning. I think the Cavs set their own doomsday clock on this group because if he comes back, it's not a Donovan Mitchell team. It's not that team anymore. If he comes back, you're probably looking at the beginning of a rebuild because I think that he is a person who cares about the legacy. Lima, I want to hear you on this. I think he's a person who cares about the legacy and cares about the history of the league. And I also think part of that is he also knows that he's got to be a good businessman and a good business partner. He wants to be an owner in this league. And I think that he's going to go on a retirement tour and go to all these places and sell these places out. And that means that he's probably not going to be a part of a very competitive team anymore. And I know that Jordan stopped the first time, and it was technically the second time, and that was an NBA Finals thing. I don't see it the same way with LeBron, man. I mean, you're going to be 42 years old, and if they were to bring him back next year, I think that it's a see you later tour, and that's it. But I don't think that they're a very serious franchise about winning a championship next year. I think they really did. If this is true, I think that they started the clock on this group.
So you don't are you saying that you don't think the Cavs, if he would be willing to do like the veteran minimum, you don't think the Cavs would be into that?
I don't think he'd be willing to do the veteran minimum. I think that he's a businessman. He's going to look at this and go, I'm going to make you guys how much? I'm going to take the minimum.
But hold on. But don't forget, he'd be selling the rights to his final season, and the NBA would be. These are things I've heard. Like the NBA would be kind of okay with that.
Maybe he'd make a lot of money on the back end. Maybe that's true.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, this is a league that's talked about that before. That's fair.
He could sell the rights, and if the NBA would allow him to do it, and I think they would, because he's going to be an owner someday too, and he's made the league a lot of money. So I think they would make this would be a very separate situation. Kenny, what could he sell the rights for?
He could sell it for a lot of money.
Maybe $50 million, $75 million.
But there
you go. Boom. There's your money.
Last week, a story came out where Jeannie Buss is upset that he won't see who he is and that he doesn't lead the franchise anymore. Yep. Well, if he comes back, you know who the best player still is on this basketball team? Yeah. It's Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. Jaylen Tyson made that abundantly clear in the postgame last night. Like, this is Donovan Mitchell's basketball team. So if you still have Mitchell, I'd be fine with bringing LeBron back. But it's got to be with Donovan Mitchell's blessing, and I just don't think that that's going to happen. LeBron is far too proud and far too.
You don't think Donovan would be okay with that?
I don't think Donovan is silly enough to believe that LeBron would just take a back seat or a passenger seat to Donovan Mitchell. I don't think that he would believe that, and I don't think that LeBron would take a back seat or a passenger seat.
But he's kind of doing that right now with Luka.
I really don't. Is he? Because, again, I just brought up.
It's Luka's team.
Okay,
nobody disputes that right now.
I think that you and I understand that it's Luka's team, but I didn't just make up the story of Jeannie Buss in last week. Like, they are upset with him for some of the decisions that's been made. Is he willing to do that with Donovan Mitchell in a franchise that he basically made relevant? I mean, there's 20-year-old guys listening to us, and they They've only seen the Cavaliers been a successful franchise.
Yeah, no, Kenny,
it's been because of him.
I get all that. But
Is he going to be willing to do that?
I'm saying, well, what do you think is the alternative? Do you think he's going to go to one of the worst teams in the league next year, make like a max deal? And by the way, which teams are signing up for that in that situation?
No, I just told you the alternative. The alternative is if this team doesn't go to where they're supposed to go, which, by the way, I'd love to flip the switch on them right now because they played tremendous last night. If this team doesn't go to where they're supposed to go, I think Donovan's probably not going to be very happy. I don't think he's going to be very happy with his teammates. I don't think we're going to be very happy with his teammates. And I think that Donovan might try to force something a little strong.
Do you not think LeBron
and if they want to go out and get LeBron, that's fine. Yes, of course he can help out Donovan Mitchell. Yes.
And
yes.
you think Donovan, if he's going to stay in Cleveland, is not willing to get more help in the I know he didn't play well last night, but if you've watched LeBron James this year, he can absolutely help a contender playing a role,
help.
and he's kind of done that this year.
But again, I'll go back in the circle.
Kenny, hold on. He has been a role player this
trying to
year.
Answer your questions.
Okay, thank you. He's been a role player this year in the NBA for the Lakers on most nights. He's been that. He's kind of fit into that. Now, he's obviously, given the fact that he's been in Los Angeles this long, like, obviously it's a little complex, but where he goes next year, that's not going to be the situation. Like, the situation is, like, again, if he were coming to Cleveland, he would be doing it on a veteran minimum. And yes, he would be doing his tour and saying goodbye every night, but it wouldn't be him taking 30 shots and trying to make it his team. He would love to go out a champion. You imagine that story of him coming to Cleveland and going out a champion?
It would be incredible. But 23 years of history tells me I'm right. I know he's taken a step back this year, and he's let Luka lead. He's also on a team that he knows that this is his final half year with this organization. Yeah. He's done.
Yeah.
He's done with the Lakers after this. And is he going to come back to Cleveland and accept it? Because, again, there's a story out there that
what are you asking him to accept? What do you mean in this case?
First off, he's going to accept a veteran minimum, which you just brought up reasons why he would. Those are great reasons. But is he really going to every night? That would take some hell of a largesse by LeBron James to really just be in the passenger seat alongside of a Donovan Mitchell-led basketball team.
I'm watching him do that right now
with
in Los Angeles.
Doncic, who's one of the best players, the very best player in the NBA. Now, Donovan is one of the better players in the NBA.
Donovan
but
the
he's
last
not
month,
Luka.
Donovan the last month has played as well as anybody.
Well, one
He's
month
been
obviously makes a tremendous difference over the last 3 years, certainly. I mean, listen, what you're saying is hopeful. I just don't think it's very realistic. I think that if
what
this team
you tell me then? You're not telling me what is the alternative. What is realistic for LeBron?
The alternative.
Where's he going next year? What's he doing?
Either here or nowhere.
Oh, so you're saying
here or nowhere.
You're saying it's just retirement.
I just told you the realistic thing. If the most realistic thing, while they're playing tremendous basketball now, is if they go out in the postseason and they get bounced in the first or second round, we're all going to lose our minds.
Yeah.
And so is Donovan. I just gave you the realistic scenario 3 seconds ago.
But then what happens? You're not telling me what happens.
Donovan goes.
Oh, you're saying
yes,
he's going to force himself out.
I said that 2 minutes ago.
You're saying I didn't realize you were saying he's forcing himself out of Cleveland.
That's what I said.
No, I'm sorry. I missed that. I thought we were arguing more about LeBron and what he's doing next year.
No, that's why I said they're setting they know this, and they are setting a clock on their own franchise right now in this current iteration of them.
I'll just tell you from the LeBron side of things that we've been talking about, for what is his send-off going to be? What is the final season going to be? And I've heard a bunch of Cavs fans tell me there's no way. I don't want to deal with that drama. I don't want to deal with LeBron. The funny thing about all of this is all people have been telling me all year is that the regular season means nothing to them for the Cavs. Well, if that's the case, then next year the regular season is also going to mean nothing. You want it to mean something? Have LeBron do his send-off. My God, that would get people caring about the regular season again.
I would love for him to come by and be a passenger again. I just don't believe he would. I don't trust him to do that. He's a very proud man. He's the best player that's ever played the game.
I think he's going to play somewhere next. He's going to play somewhere next year. So where is he going to be willing to do? Is he going to go like the Utah Jazz next year so he can have his set-off? I don't see that happening. So where is the scenario? I kind of feel like it could only be here.
I think it's only here. But is he willing to do all that? He might just end it after this year if he can't get his way.
Well, yeah, and if that's the case, then this whole thing was a moot point. But
boy, he's a businessman. I can't see him doing it. You're right. We'll talk about it with Dave McMenamin at 9:20 this morning. All right, what do you want to do? Do you believe that Todd Monken's a bad coach? I don't believe that Todd Monken's a bad coach.
Anybody could feel he's a bad coach.
No. Let me bring up something here, and I know that we have to talk about Miles as well. There's some strong conversation here because I think if you're thinking about a complete rebuild and we're wasting our time, Miles could be the best friend to every Browns fan out there. Because we just had a caller, and I was thinking about this in the bathroom. We just had a caller who said Miles is going to ask for a trade again. Said that came out of his mouth, that caller. If Miles asks for a trade again, are you trading Miles?
Because I told you I would have traded him last time he asked for a trade.
I asked it almost in a rhetorical sense. I know you would, and I know a lot of people said, what the hell, why not? Because you're a 5-win football
And now
team.
you've gotten the record out of him. So
there you go.
And this is probably his peak value.
Miles could do.
Micah Parsons reset the trade market, too, last year.
Yeah.
So before that, there was not the 3 first-round picks and all that stuff. And now you can go get that. That's out there. That's a thing.
Now, I think Miles is stuck here forever. That's why I call him Miles and Wadsworth. He does things that every caller has done here over the last month. Last year, I should say. He could do the franchise and Browns fans a hell of a service by demanding a trade again. You want to hear me out on that? If he sticks to his guns and go, you've given me the money, you can find me, I don't care, I'm not coming back here. Can you get 3 first-round picks? Unless you really believe that this football team is closer than what you think and I think and what most Browns fans think. If you really believe that, then you're going to hate this idea. If he goes out there and he demands a trade again and he says, this time it's for winning, this time it's for certain, I don't like this, you get how much back for Myles Garrett? He demanded the trade. Well, with all that artillery, and you're not going anywhere anyway in the first place, you get the best of both worlds. For the fans who want a quarterback, you're not going to win that much anyway, and you have the easiest strength of schedule going into next year. Well, you just said they're almost tank-proof because Myles Garrett is on this team. I could not fight you. I totally agree with you on that. Well, you wouldn't be on this team in this scenario. Mm-hmm. So you'd be out there without having to circle 95 in every game plan and then having to not be able to be beaten by him. But if you don't have 95 out there, you got good players on that team, but obviously it changes things. So if he were to do that, you have the draft picks, you have the wherewithal, you can use the draft picks to move up, even if you weren't going to be able to get Arch Manning. There's a lot of things that you could do with those draft picks because I think you know, and a lot of the Browns fans know, you're probably not going to be that good anyway this year. So we have this guy, and we're not getting any better. What's the money for? What's the what's the cap hit for? It doesn't matter. Now, if you trade him, I don't know how you can field a football team because of the dead cap issue that you have this year.
Know.
That is the backside of this.
That's the hang-up, yeah.
And Zach has been adamant about it, and I have been paying attention to every single person I can because there's been a lot of people who've lined up and said, nah, it's not as prohibitive as you guys think. I don't know, man. I'm not the best math guy. It seems to be every bit as prohibitive as I think. Now, I don't know what the new cap year is going to be this year, but it still looks like it's going to be bad. But, yeah, if he ended up doing that, I think a lot of fans would see him as he's doing you a favor. Because if you can get 3 first-round picks for him, he set the record.
Yeah, we all saw it. It was the only reason. Think about it. It was the only reason people were dialed in until the very end of the year.
I would hate to have the conversation about is he ours, is he not ours, especially if we went to a place like Philadelphia and they ended up winning and all that other stuff. Like, it'd be a difficult conversation to have. But I also know that in my head, I don't see them approaching the playoffs again unless Todd Monkin can really revive one of these 2 quarterbacks that you have. Unless he can do that, I don't see you going to the playoffs again while he is still at the peak of his powers. Right here, I think this year and next year, I think he's at the peak of his powers. He's going to be that way going into 32 years old, 33 years old. Maybe he's a physical freak, but
he is a freak.
There's going to be a backslide somewhere, and then that means the price comes down. So what am I going to be able to get from him? I got to think proactively here. I don't think Todd Monken's a bad coach. I'm not trying to blow the thing up. I'm just trying to get this thing in the best position possible by the time we can get there. That's all I'm trying to do. So I have to think about these scenarios. And what Miles posted last night, he's clearly not happy about this hire. He's got a funny way of showing his support if he does.
Yeah, it was always. We said this at the end of the year once, Stefanski was let go. There was always going to be this high wire act of them trying to look for the next head coach and doing so in a way that Jim Schwartz would be cool with it all. And obviously, we found out it was impossible. There was just no way that you were going to be able to pull that off. I know you asked the question earlier, like, would he have been okay with Shieldhouse or whatever? He still probably would have been like, how am I not getting this head coaching job? I have been here. Accountability, ask any of the guys on the defense. They have totally bought in. We have an identity. We're the one thing you can set your watch to with this Cleveland Browns football team. It's the reason we were able to squeeze out those wins at the end of the year that people wanted to debate if it was culture or not. And that's gone, right? Most likely. That is all gone now. And that's probably why he is stunned and left the building and was angry as he was leaving yesterday, saying his final goodbyes to some of the people.
And I haven't wanted to trade him. I've been adamant about that. But at the same time, I got a defensive coordinator. You just mentioned it. I mean, I don't need to say it again. I got two guys who one might never walk back in the building again, and I don't think he ever will. And I really don't think he can. Based on what I said at 7 o'clock, I don't think you can ever let him back in the building because I can't sow the seeds of dissension. And the other guy, clearly not happy. Again. So I got to think of what's best for the franchise long term. What's best for the franchise long term? Miles has been fantastic. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, not Bill Belichick style. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But do I believe I'm going to be a much better football team this year? You don't get better by trading away Myles Garrett, but I'm not getting better anytime soon with Myles Garrett. So this has to be a consideration. He's not happy. Had he be happy, I don't think I'd be throwing it out. He's upset again. And I don't think he's ever going to just walk around and pout on the field or anything like that. I think he's always going to give his best because he's going for, I think, personal glory. I do think he likes some of his teammates and he's buddies with some of his teammates. But is it going to be the type of leadership that we need to crawl out of this mess? Or do we just need to acquire talent and start all over again? 216-474-0092. Mary Kay Cabot going to join us at 8:20. Coming up in 5 minutes, Jaylen Tyson. I told you about that. I think he's going to disagree with what Lima says. He said this is Donovan Mitchell's team. This is Donovan Mitchell's town. Folks, Ken Carman here for K&K.
much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. And we got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
So we might have new king in town, guys.
Who?
New king in town. This was Jaylen Tyson.
Oh, not Todd Monkin?
No. Sorry. So this was Jaylen Tyson crashing Donovan Mitchell's post-game interview last night. This is courtesy of ESPN.
Obviously, there's a different energy in this building when the James family's here. We saw how the fans reacted to Bronny, and certainly this could be potentially LeBron's last game in this building. How would you characterize his impact on this city and franchise? Well, you could say something, too.
This is Donovan Mitchell City now. It's Donovan Mitchell City now. When he come back here, we're going to make sure that everybody roots for him like that they did for him. So this is his stuff. This is his city.
I love Jaylen Tyson, man.
Amazing.
What a great draft pick.
Incredible.
What a great draft pick.
And it really has me thinking.
Who doesn't love him?
Like, this is such a huge pick for Kobe Altman because they were out of moves. They were out of ways to really acquire talent because of the second apron. And so to get this guy make a leap, we are talking a legitimate leap. We always talk about leaps with Evan Mobley or whatever. This is a leap because nobody saw Jaylen Tyson. I probably wonder if even Kobe Altman saw him becoming this good of an NBA player, including a shooter. His profile did not suggest coming out of college that he would be this kind of a shooter.
It's clear that it is Donovan Mitchell's team, right? But is Jaylen Tyson the leader of the team? Like, is he he's the guy that we thought Evan Mobley was supposed to become?
He's on the fast track. I mean, that's all we do is complain about the toughness and lack thereof. Right. And Jaylen Tyson will go toe-to-toe with anybody.
Well, remember,
anybody.
He was the guy that threw the team under the bus when they weren't competing.
Yeah, exactly.
And at first we're like, that's kind of crazy for a second-year player playing those amount of minutes.
And it was the thing that Max Strus tried to do last year, and Ty Jerome tried to do it at times. But this guy seems to be backing it up.
Yes, that's the right word. You exactly nailed it on the head, Owen. Backed it up.
A lot of role players that people try to get excited about, and because when they were bad, you go, okay, fine, whatever. When they're good, you kind of go, we'll see what they're like in crunch time. And maybe we will in the postseason. I just don't think he's going to be a violet. I think that he's going to step up, and even if they go down, he's going to be the one that goes down swinging. I'm a big fan of Jaylen Tyson.
And they've had so many guys on the team where I'm like, not playoff risers. This guy looks like he is he's the archetype of a guy who should be able to do what he's doing in the playoffs.
Yes.
And earlier in the year, I'm like, all right, let's calm down. He's not going to shoot 46% from three-point. He still is. All right, once teams get tape on him and see that he's a try-hard, they'll be able to use that against him. They can't. He just causes headaches for each and every one of these teams, and I think he's going to do the same thing in the playoffs.
So down the stretch, when you're looking at potentially getting Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Max Strus all back in the lineup, where does that put Jaylen Tyson?
I said this yesterday. I hope his role doesn't change at all.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't think that are we going to get Max Strus back in the lineup? I mean, we're hoping, but by the time he comes back, how ready is he going to be? Because we keep kicking it 6 weeks down the road. So you would know better than me on these issues here, but we keep going 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks. Well, if we keep going that way, then if I get him back at the end of March, April, somewhere in there, it's like, okay, well, I got to have a ramp up, don't I? Well, Jaylen Tyson's already going to be ramped up. So I agree with Anthony. I don't think his usage should change at all.
All right, so one more clip on Tyson before we move on. This was Donovan Mitchell talking about Jaylen Tyson growing up in the NBA.
He figures it out. Like, as a second-year guy, for him to continue to be so, even keel. Even when he messes up, it's like, all right, cool, I'm going to figure it out and be better. And he's still doing the little things, still trying to rebound, still picking up full court, still doing all the little things that are required of him while also scoring. To have a lot of success offensively, that kind of have the freedom to kind of do different things offensively, to still do all the little things, just shows his maturity.
So I just wanted to play that because I think that shows it shows your point of Jaylen Tyson being able to be that vocal guy, to be that leader. And
hard ass.
It's very noticeable.
Sub question: does Jaylen Tyson make you want to draft Jordan Tyson?
Be great to have those guys in town, right?
I'm pointing it out. Now he's been injured. Jordan Tyson has been oft injured, but I can't imagine that they're that different. So are you drafting a certifiable hard ass? Something to think about. I don't think you need to answer it on January 29th, but it's something to think about. Or, I've said a lot of crazy things today.
Listen,
Maybe it's another crazy
We had
thing.
the Naylor brothers. Why not have these guys?
Yeah, but actually, you remember, it was when they got rid of Josh Naylor, there was like, well, this should be better for Bo. Like, they were too close.
Oh.
There was pressure on Bo Naylor from Josh Naylor, apparently. Could there be well, they don't play the same sport, so they're not going to be in the same locker room.
Good point. Yeah, that could be that close.
Yeah, but we could get Jaylen to go over to the Browns locker room every once in a while. Just fire him up.
Could he not play?
Should he do
What would be
the
his
locker
position?
room speeches
At
in there
least.
too?
Yes.
I mean, there are brothers who hate each other. I don't think they hate each other, though. Go ahead.
All right, so Giannis Antetokounmpo is preparing to be moved by the trade deadline on February 5th. He's informed the Bucks that he wants to trade. The Bucks are reportedly listening to offers. Some of the teams, and this is according to ESPN, that have made offers, or the Bucks are at least talking with the Heat, the Timberwolves, the Knicks, the Warriors. However, this may not actually happen at the trade deadline, because there was an article from ESPN that I read yesterday that was saying that the Bucks might actually wait until the offseason to trade Giannis, because they want to see what type of draft capital they can get. They want to wait for the right offer. They don't want to rush into anything. They want to make sure that they get a good return for Giannis. And waiting until the offseason, they'll have a better idea of what type of draft capital they can get in return. So you've got Giannis getting prepared to move next week, and that maybe it doesn't happen till the offseason.
Let's go around the room real quick. Haslam approval rating, 1 out of 100 right now. Go.
Out of 100?
Out of 1%. Yeah, go.
Probably like 8%.
Owen?
In Cleveland?
Yes.
5.
How much would it help if he were to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Help us out.
Discuss.
Pump
Make
him
Miles
up
a little more happy?
Put him up to 20%.
Well, here's the thing. Are people going to credit Haslam for that, or are they going to credit Gilbert? Because if
Well,
you
it
know,
takes two to tango. You got to be willing to trade the guy.
Or are they going to credit Kobe Altman for it?
Well, he's been completely unwilling to trade one superstar in his one team. If he were willing to trade another superstar in his other team, it'd help out the other team. I mean, what the hell, right? It would help. Just pointing it out.
It's funny that Dan Gilbert.
Just giving you guys things to think about this morning. That's
Gilbert,
all I'm doing.
the owner of the Cavs, lives in Detroit, while Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, lives in Cleveland.
Does he live? I thought he lived in Tennessee, or does he have like?
No, he's here.
Men of
Boots on the
such
ground.
wealth have multiple
homes. So
Yes.
he's got a winter home and a summer home.
We had a home you could take to different places. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean,
I
real quick, I just don't. He seems to waffle on whether or not he's happy in Milwaukee or not happy in Milwaukee. If you got to wait on the right deal. This is a franchise-shaping deal that you would have to make, and you got to make sure you make the right one. You can't do Nico Harrison and just do it in the dead of night and really set your franchise back. But you're going to have to wait on the proper offer, and he's Giannis. There will be the proper offer, but I think that the proper offer might actually come during the summer. So, yeah, you probably want to wait.
What do you think, Anthony? Is it coming next week, or is it coming in the offseason?
I think it'll be the offseason.
Here you go.
All right, so I got one more basketball story for you. This came out 2 days ago. I think I was going to do it yesterday, and I thought it was kind of funny. So we have some of the celebrities named for the celebrity basketball game in the All-Star. One of those people that have been named, Shams Charania. Do you consider, yes, he's playing in the NBA celebrity.
Should a reporter be playing in the celebrity All-Star game?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Is he a celebrity?
Well, were the reporters playing when it was here?
Well, he's no
here?
Dan Cortez.
He's no Bill Bellamy.
Yeah, that's true.
Is he? Was there reporters in it here?
I don't think so.
That was over at CSU, right?
I'd have to.
Justin Bibb was in it.
Yeah, I think it was.
I mean,
the mayor was in it.
Yeah,
there have been TV personalities and sports TV personalities that have been in this. Ryan Russillo played in the game one year.
He's a reporter, though.
So I don't know. I like. Is he that? Does anybody care to see him? Maybe you want to see him for 2 seconds just to see if he can actually get a shot off or something.
I mean, there is that person that's like,
see if he's coordinated.
it's like, if you can't play the sport, you shouldn't be able to talk about it, which is absolute crap in my opinion. So maybe they want to see him walk the walk because he talks the talk. But my first thought is, are reporters considered celebrities in the first place. Like, you can have like local celebrities maybe, but I don't know.
Now I'm trying to think.
On a national stage like the NBA All-Star Game?
See, but like Adam Schefter is a celebrity.
Some reporters are bigger celebrities to the people actually watching that game than, the star. I don't know half the people that are on like a Netflix show right now, right? I know there's a show about hockey players that like each other, and I couldn't tell you who any of those people are.
Oh, is that the show about Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin?
I don't think that's it.
Does his likability factor into it at all? I don't think a lot of people dislike Sham Charania. We've had him on the show. He's a nice guy. Does that have anything to do with it? No.
I mean, if he can take an hour to go play a celebrity basketball game, I hope he doesn't miss any breaking news.
Do you guys think Dave McMenamin is jealous of Sham Charania because he's playing in the All-Star?
There's only one way to find out.
You can ask that at 9:20.
It says Glorilla and Mustard are going to lace it up for the 2026 NBA All-Star
Who are either
celebrity.
one of those? I've heard of a Glorilla.
Glorilla.
Isn't Mustard, doesn't he perform with Kendrick Lamar? Right? That's
Take
what
your
I
word
thought.
for it.
Mustard's a performer?
Yeah, I think he's like a DJ producer, and he works with Kendrick Lamar.
Let's get Jelly Roll and Mustard in this game.
Jelly Roll reporter now, because he broke the news about the Tennessee Titans head coach. Reporter Jelly Roll, breaking news.
Not really a Jelly Roll anymore. He's a churro. He's thin. That's what I'm saying.
He's very thin.
What? What, you don't like that, Owen?
The one time
he's giving you a thumb down.
I'll see you in hell.
I liked it.
Yeah, thank you.
I liked it.
Yeah, you have good taste. You have good taste. Coming up next. We got Mary Kay at 8:20. What led to Todd Monkin? What was this crazy road they took to Todd Monkin? And angry or not, you had to be ready to replace Jim Schwartz no matter what the outcome was, even if he became the head coach. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on that absolutely, positively free Odyssey app. And this is absolutely, positively great customer service when you go to Northeast Factory Direct.
not dysfunctional. Show me. So we want to talk about Todd Monkin. I will defend the hire to some level because the other three coaches were just as blah as Todd Monkin was.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Hey, we got a contest and we got some more bitching to do about the Browns because there will always be bitching about the Browns. Give the contest away because I got a comment on something here that I'm watching.
92.3 The Fan is looking for a big winner right now. Enter the code word LOUD, L-O-U-D, at 923thefan.com. Before 9 a.m., your chance to win pair of tickets to see Stavros Halkias, the Dreamboat Tour, MGM Northfield Park, February 14th at 7 p.m., 21 and over venue. Get tickets, livenation.com. It's all from Live Nation and Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. Stavros!
Ahmad from the Cavs and Moondog were in pink tutus. Yes, I did not see this the first time I'm watching this. Replay this for me, if you will. We're on YouTube Live. You can't see it on YouTube Live. I can. This is incredible. I'm actually impressed by this. So they're both wearing pink tutus, and they got a great, what looks like one of those.
It's a yoga ball.
Yoga balls, yeah. I was going to call it a pregnancy ball, and I'm like, that's not right. And they're keeping it connected with each other, doing a dance. I think that this is impressive.
They're pressing it in between themselves and dancing while they're pressing it.
I got to text them. I got to see how many hours. How many hours
you had to practice this? Yeah, Ahmad had to practice this. It's not I would have never imagined this in a million years. You got to, hey, man, halftime shows, you got to think outside the box. There's only so many wiener dog races you can do.
Well, and
I love the wiener dog races.
It was different enough that Inside the NBA or whatever that show's called it now.
Yes.
They showed it, and then Chuck and Shaq attempted to do it. It did not work as well.
Did they get it? Was this a bet?
They probably practiced when Chuck was bigger.
What
and now they don't know the space anymore.
Did this have anything to do with LeBron coming home?
I don't know.
Because obviously,
I just saw Worldwide Wob put it out, and then a bunch of people ran with it.
Did it get a pop from the crowd?
Not as big as when Bronny had that dunk. That dunk and that three-pointer, those are the loudest cheers that I've heard in there since.
Oh, come on.
Playoffs last year. Since the Magic series or the Heat series last year.
Man, ain't wrong.
3-3. Bronny is a problem. I asked my buddy that was there, I said, what was the crowd makeup yesterday, real quick, because I know we got other things to turn to. But he said...
Talk about LeBron here for crying out loud.
And the tickets, you could tell by the ticket prices yesterday, it was going to be a LeBron crowd. Mm-hmm. Like a Cavs crowd, but a LeBron crowd. Like, I don't think the Lakers... I don't think they were... There were a lot of LeBron jerseys of various teams. Right. But I think they were like, hey, we want the Cavs to win. We also are here to see LeBron.
There were no Nick Van Exel jerseys in the crowd.
No.
Or Cedric Ceballos.
I remember him.
Hell of a dunk. Good for the young man. Now we're just watching highlights. 216-474-0092. All right, back to arguments. You had to be. So I said this. People took this the wrong way a couple years ago when it came to Bill Callahan. And for some odd reason, because people hear what they want to hear. Now we're on YouTube Live, so you can actually see what I'm saying, and maybe you can get the context, everything. A couple years ago, I said you had to be ready to replace Bill Callahan. Assistants don't stay in places forever. An assistant coach, the way this is that 95% of these guys, who you know who they are. I mean, there's guys who are longtime position coaches. You'll never hear who they are. But coordinators and O-line and D-line, O-line, D-line coaches, secondary guys, DB guys, they're especially O-line guys. They're meant to be head coaches at some point. And then even on their way down, it's like they're not really going to stay. And he's a 60-plus-year-old man. And I brought that up about Bill Callahan. And I think you fanned the flames a little bit. People got mad because you made it out to be like, oh, no big loss to Bill Callahan. No, it's a big loss to Bill Callahan. But you always have to be ready to replace your assistants. Because if you do well at all, they're going to get plucked. So you had to be ready to do that. When it came to Jim Schwartz, you always had to have in the back of the mind, you didn't do well, but you obviously felt passionately enough about Jim Schwartz to give him 2 interviews and basically force him upon anybody who would have got the job, that if he were to not take this the right way, he's a proud man, he didn't take it the right way, they had to be ready. Of all the things that happened out of this yesterday, of all the fallout, I don't think Todd Monken's a bad coach. That's why I can't just kill him for hiring Todd Monkin. I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think he's bad. I loved what Ross Tucker said yesterday when they threw out the stuff about him not communicating well with the players this last year. Well, nobody said that 2 years ago with Lamar Jackson, and then he decided to throw out Baltimore Sun headlines where Lamar Jackson was, quote, falling asleep in meetings because he was playing video games too late. Like, okay, this is strong stuff. But you had to be ready to replace him depending on the fallout. If I find out that the Browns were caught unaware that he was going to react the way he did, boy, I felt down about this team before. That's as down as I'm going to feel about this team. Like, this might be where you need to pick me up off the floor. And it might be possible. And I think a lot of people are going, Ken, don't be surprised by it. If I find out that they weren't ready for a Jim Schwartz meltdown, I mean, I'm already not feeling good. I'm going to be sick. You had to be ready. Like, didn't a guy in Macedonia right now getting ready to go to work?
Everybody could see that
thought
coming.
that Jim Schwartz, how emotional his defense is, how emotional he seems to be, didn't they think that he was not going to be happy? So if a guy who's just a Browns fan saw it, wouldn't the Browns been able to see it? So they had to be prepared that he probably wasn't going to react the very best way if he didn't get the job.
Oh, and tell me that the Cleveland Browns weren't caught with their Jim Schwartz down.
You host the rest of this thing. Goodbye.
Kenny, I imagine that they had to have assumed.
I'm done.
They know how big an emotional guy Kenny has left the building.
I got to come
Well,
back.
Kenny's too busy monking around.
He's
What'd you say?
You're too busy monking around.
You know what he said. You know what he said.
Monking. It's a play on the head coach's last name and what you're doing.
Kenny's disgusted right now.
My boss wanted me to walk out during the commentary on 8 last night and go, do you know the Monkin man, the Monkin man, the Monkin man? I go, come on.
Do you know the Monkin man?
I'm a serious person. I'm a serious Big J journalist here.
Hey, now is this going to be another win for the West Side? Because he lived on the West Side. It was Westlake. You told me on the phone.
I grew up listening to West Side Connection, so I always know that the West Side is supposedly the best side.
So Stefanski was Rocky River. Now, Monkin, this is a big step ahead.
Remember what Ice Cube said about Charles Manson?
I know the portion. I know the area in Westlake where he lived last time. Now it's got to be a bump up, right?
Well, yeah, there's not as many stables out there.
I thought the stables were in the east side.
No. Medina.
That's where Freddie's horses were.
I was told Medina this time.
The horses are in Medina.
They could just run free out there.
A lot of sense out there.
Can he take him down to Mike White's alpaca farm?
It's a little too much of a commute.
It is Newcomers Town. That's a ways. They had to have been ready that Jim Schwartz wasn't going to act that well. And you always have to be ready to replace defensive coordinators. Your hire has to be good. It's a test of your hire. The Browns had to replace Bill Callahan. They hired him. They hired I was going to say a bad term that starts with an I. I don't want to go that crazy. The guy was not ready to lead the offensive line, and it was a total disaster. Now, George Warhop on the offensive line, we'll see. But whoever they picked for defensive coordinator, like, gosh, if it's Zach Orr, you are starting behind the 8 ball because you've never heard anything really good from Ravens fans about him. And if you bring him in, you're going to have a lot to prove. You're going to have a lot to prove. But I also don't want to say that, well, Jim Schwartz, no big loss, anything like that. Like some people tried to do that yesterday as Jim Schwartz packed up his stuff and left. It is a loss. He got the very best out of these guys. I think that sometimes systems is overblown considering that there's a lot of hybrid stuff. I think you have great players. I think you'll probably go right back to somebody who kind of runs a Jim Schwartz system if we want to get too in the woods about it. But also I think that you got good players here, but I've seen you have good players and also not do so well with them. I think you had some good players on that defense, not as many as you do now when you had Joe Woods. And I didn't think Joe Woods did a great job. I don't think he did a great job. So you have to find that balance. And you have to be able to hire somebody who was good. These are not, with the exception like Dante Scarnecchia and Dick LeBeau in Pittsburgh, who even I think Dick LeBeau ended up in Tennessee after a while. Like, these are not very long-term positions. So you're always going to be tested on who you hire. I mean, the same thing happened in Detroit this last year. They've been under the microscope. How are you going to replace Aaron Glenn? How were you going to replace Ben Johnson? And they were under the microscope all year. They're still dealing with it.
Yeah, I do want to say, do I think somebody else could coordinate this Browns defense with amazing Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and some of the other pieces and parts they have? Yes, but I agree with you. We saw Joe Woods' defense. We saw Steve Wilkes' defense. We saw them. There's no doubt that Jim Schwartz elevated their defense. And now you could say, maybe you would argue that somebody as special as Myles was always going to continue to get better because the elites always get better. They just find a way. They work on things, and they have a database in their mind of everything that they know throughout the course of their career can work, and they have a book on the different offensive linemen they go up against, the different schemes they go up against. So somebody like Myles was always going to get better. But it wasn't just about Myles. It's being able to optimize the entire unit. And I'm sorry, Malik Collins just great. Did he not just grade out as high as he ever has his entire freaking career?
Yeah.
Not to mention, when you trade for someone in the middle of the year, you know how hard that is to trade for somebody. Yeah. And then they got the best out of him, too.
Good job.
In Campbell. That has to be a feather in the cap of somebody like Schwartz. So I do not think just anybody can coordinate this defense.
People are enjoying the Monkin, man. I'm sorry. Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
A couple people understand the lyrics I was saying about Charles Manson. I thank you very much. And Ryan says his kids are chanting, "Do you know the Monkin Man?" Which I told my boss, I go, the last time I heard that was Lima opened up the door, said it, or sung it, and then slammed the door in my face. The Muffin Man. 216.
Can you do an edit? Owen, one of your edits with the Wiggles and take the Muffin Man and make it Munkin?
As long as I can put the Italian Wiggles in there, too.
Oh, yes.
Stop text. All these rich former NFLers texting about horse farms right now. All right, coming up at 9:20, Dave McMenamin. Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
How rank your horse farms?
How
rank your rich former NFLers?
There's a pony farm or a miniature horse farm, I think, in Kent.
Oh,
that's got to be number one.
I meant Philiponi. I'm like, he has a whole farm.
Pony don't have a pony farm. And Todd Monkin, does he have any miniature horses he can take? You know what? I'm not going to leave that one, the one on the ground. You knew it because you're laughing. You knew where I was going. Mary Kay Cabot going to join us next. What led to Todd Monkin? Where will he park his horses? It's coming up on the Fan.
All right, where is the new football coach of our football team? Where is he going to reside? Could it be the East Side?
having you back?
Honestly, Ken, I can't even tell you. I'm so sick and tired of the dumb stuff that we do or the Browns do as an organization. You had 50% your room intact. Now work on the other 50% through free agency, trades, all this. I hope they trade Shador. I hope Miles fakes the injury and doesn't play most of the year.
I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and nobody else.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild morning. In the same sentence, in the same segment, at one point this morning, I can't believe you didn't come over and choke me. I talked about this Cavs team being blown up for LeBron James coming back next year and Myles Garrett being traded, all within the same 10 minutes segment. That's how wild of a morning it's been. And then we had Vincent in Virginia.
The stuff you said about Jose off the air, I can't even
come on, that's crazy. He is, and he's beloved here, and he's more beloved. I know that we're all weeping over what happened last night. He's even more beloved than you know who. We'll talk to Dave McMenamin about the Cavs and LeBron coming up at 9:20. However, let's go to the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. It is Thursday at 8:20, and it is Mary Kay Cabot time. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We're doing well. How did they settle on Todd Monkin?
Well, I think when you look at this, they needed to fix the offensive side of the ball. And what they got with this hire was the most qualified offensive guy that they were going to be able to get in the situation that they're in right now to come in here and try to transform this offense. So I think when you look at some of the other candidates, and especially right now with what's happening with Jim, let's say that you hired Nate Fieldhouse and he's never called a play and he's been in the NFL for 2 years and he's never been a coordinator. Who do you think would be better equipped to handle your defensive coordinator walking out the door? A Nate Fieldhouse or a guy with 37 years experience in Todd Monkin who's seen it all, who's been through it all, who's handled difficult personalities, who isn't going to be fazed by adversity? It would have been a tall order to try to hire Nate Fieldhouse and have him hold this football team together under these conditions. I don't think this will faze Todd. I think he'll be able to overcome it. And once again, I think when you look at the offensive candidates that they hired, I think he was absolutely that they interviewed. He was the most qualified for the ones that were still in it.
So Jim might have done this as well if Nate Fieldhouse was made the head coach.
I would think so. I mean, I think the thing is that he got passed over for the head coaching job that he really wanted. So I don't think that he would have taken it lightly either if Nate had been hired. And then what are you going to do? Because now you've got an inexperienced head coach and you've lost your defensive coordinator potentially, and you still have to fill all of your coordinator positions with a guy who's been in the NFL for 2 years. So I just think that may have had something to do with it. If you knew you could have paired Jim Schwartz with Nate Fieldhouse, maybe that's a different situation. But they had to know that this was a potential outcome, and I think they did the right thing.
Then if they felt that Jim Schwartz may literally pack his boxes and leave, why did it feel like he was a prerequisite for any coach to take over this job that they had to hold on to him as DC?
Well, I don't think it was a prerequisite. I think it was an encouragement for the candidates to keep Jim Schwartz around. I don't think it was a prerequisite at all. I don't think that was it.
We kept getting things that it was. It was just a suggestion?
It was a suggestion. Maybe it was a strong suggestion, but I certainly don't think that Todd Monkin took this job feeling like he had to keep Jim Schwartz. I think he took this job knowing that if he wanted to bring in his own defensive coordinator, that he could have done that. And I think that those were the conditions probably for anybody. Now, maybe the younger guys would not have not done that. Maybe they wouldn't have said, hey, no, I don't want that guy. Whereas Todd probably, if he didn't want Jim, would have said that he didn't. So, no, I don't think that it was a prerequisite for the job.
All right, Mary Kay, when we look at the finalists, and all along you had been talking about casting a wide net, so you were dead on, as accurate as anybody. when it came to this coaching search. But in the end, the finalists are a 35-year-old, very inexperienced coach, a 59-year-old offensive coordinator, and another older defensive coordinator who had actually been a head coach before. Does that tell you that there was a division within the building in Berea when it came down to the finalists?
No, not necessarily. And we'll know more when we talk to everybody. But here's the thing to remember about Todd Monkin. He was the first request that they made. So he was always very high on the list. He was the first request they made after, they interviewed Jim, their own guys, Jim and Tommy. But he was the very first request and one of the earliest guys in the building. And then he was the second interview after Jim Schwartz. So he was high on their list from minute one. People didn't see it because nobody thinks of Todd Monkin in that way. But just because he hasn't gotten an opportunity doesn't mean he shouldn't have gotten an opportunity. He's a very accomplished offensive coach. At every turn, at every stop that he's been offensively, the offense lights up. So some people you don't get in that cycle. You don't get thought of that way. And then you start to get in your 50s, your late 50s, and people really don't think of you that way, especially if you haven't had a head coach gig before. Jim Schwartz wasn't thought of that way all of these years once he was done being head coach of the Lions. For the most part, he really hasn't been thought of as a head coach candidate in the last how many ever cycles. So age starts to work against you and things like that. But I do think that for what they were looking for and for what this team needs at this point in time, I just don't think this is a bad hire at all.
Mary Kay Cabot with us on the show. Well, I don't think he's a bad coach. I think that people are underwhelmed. They're very upset, but I don't think that Todd Monkin is a bad coach. I do think it's a bit surprising. It is fun. I got to admit, it was funny. I had to look at Lima because you had said, well, nobody had thought of Todd Monkin. Yeah, except for the Browns. So it does seem Browns. But let me ask you about Jim Schwartz. It's all over then, right? You really can't let him come back and be a coach. You can't make him come back and be a coach. I mean, he's already shown everybody what he thinks. And I think it's in the back of Browns fans' mind anytime something doesn't go right with the offense or they don't win a game that they know what Jim Schwartz thinks of what would be his new boss.
Well, here's the thing. It does seem like in some situations that you can't go home again, right? But I have seen stranger things happen. Now, will that happen in this case where Todd Monkin and Jim Schwartz put their heads together and find a way to move forward and make this work? Right now, it doesn't seem like that's very plausible and that will happen. But did anybody think that Myles Garrett was coming back here after what we saw him do on Radio Row last year? Did that seem like you could go home again after all of that? Absolutely not. So I've seen emotions get out of control for people. I've seen people get mad and upset about things. I mean, this is a tough league full of people with egos and emotions and alpha dogs. And yeah, sometimes it seems like there is no turning back. But maybe there is a world in which these two guys can talk through it. And Jimmy could also throw money at it. Sometimes money can solve problems. And if they really want Jim back, well, maybe throw a little bit of money at it. So, again, it probably isn't going to happen that way, but you can never say never in these situations.
All right, Mary Kay, I woke up to an Instagram post from Myles Garrett. They're on social media where it looked like the beleaguered Popeyes employee slumped over, just exhausted. Which I'm not sure if you know your meme, but it basically is saying he's exhausted. So, Mary Kay, what does that mean if your best player, the guy that set the sack record, reigning two-time or now defensive player of the year for the second time, what does that mean for the organization if Myles is irate about this decision?
Well, once again, Myles is under contract for a whole ton of money. He's the leader of this football team. And if the football team decided that they were going in another direction at head coach, one that didn't sit well with Jim Schwartz, well, then I think that Myles Garrett is probably going to have to come to grips with the fact that maybe his defensive coordinator isn't going to be here, because I doubt, and once again, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I highly doubt that they're going to trade him. There are cap considerations. He is, once again, the leader of the defense. He's the best player on the football team. And I think it's going to be the same thing that it was last year, where Andrew Berry steadfastly refused to trade him. Now, I'm not saying that Miles is going to ask to be traded. We don't know if he would even think about doing that, because he has said numerous times that, now he wants to be here and finish it out here. But things change. So, I don't know what he's thinking right now. That Instagram post, it sent a message for sure. But once again, I don't think it necessarily is going to lead to a trade demand. And if it does, I would think that the Browns would say no.
Mary Kay Cabot with us on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. I was texted last night that Todd Monkin really likes Deshaun Watson and that he would maybe have the inside track to be the starter in 2026. What does this all mean for the quarterback room?
Well, I think people are getting ahead of themselves a little bit on who the starting quarterback is going to be. I don't think that anybody really knows that yet. But one thing I do know is that Todd Monkin was on the opposite sideline when Deshaun Watson in Baltimore came off the bench with a bad ankle and a fractured shoulder and beat the Baltimore Ravens, or helped beat the Baltimore Ravens 33-31 in that game. And so he knows what Deshaun Watson is capable of when he's healthy. And we also know this about Todd Monkin, that he's all about the mobile, dual-threat running quarterback. Now, can Deshaun Watson even run any more like that coming off of 2 ruptured Achilles? We don't know. We don't know the answer to that. But he will have a chance. I believe that Deshaun Watson will have a chance, and I've been telling you guys this for a long, long time, that I think that he will have a chance to show what he can do, at least throughout the offseason program. And so will Shedeur. And I don't know about Dylan, but I think it would, at least right now, come down to those 2 guys. And Todd will look at them and try to decide who he thinks has the best chance.
Well, it's not that we don't believe you, Mary Kay. It's that we don't want to. I'd much rather have Shedeur Sanders have a crack at it.
Well, I want to ask Mary Kate, do you think if there were candidates out there that said, when they asked, what do you think of our quarterback room, if that candidate said, I think we're going to have to look at external options, do you think that would have basically revoked their candidacy immediately?
No. And I also think that if Todd Monkin looks at this situation and says, we need to look at external candidates, then that's going to go a long way towards the Browns deciding what to do at quarterback. Now, the thing about quarterback this year is it's not a good year, once again, to need a new quarterback. They don't have the draft pick to get one of the best 2 right now. They could always try to trade up, or maybe they have a sleeper that we don't necessarily know about yet. But in terms of the trade market or free agency, there are not a lot of great options. So there is a world in which it could come down to Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. And it's going to be up to mostly your new head coach, which is why they got an offensive coach to fix this thing. It's going to be up to him to decide what he wants to do at that position, and it should be like that. And by the way, I also think that he should continue to call plays himself. He's an excellent play caller.
I just assumed he would. I didn't.
Oh, he probably will.
Yeah.
We haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. But sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I think that that's one of his strengths, and so I think he should do that. But in terms of, I'm sure that's the thing about Todd Monkin too, because we know him because he was here in 2019. I'm sure he sat right across from them and told them exactly what he thought about things, and he could do that because he doesn't have anything to lose. And he's got 37 years experience in the NFL. I mean, not in the NFL, but in coaching, 11 in the NFL. So if he didn't like the quarterback room, I'm sure he told them that. I'm sure he was honest with them. And you have to be in this situation. So if he feels like they need a new quarterback in that room, then they'll do whatever they can to find that guy.
30 seconds. What do you think of the term bridge head coach?
No, I don't think that that's what's going on here. He got a 5-year contract, so that's not bridge. That's many, many millions of dollars, and you're going to move forward and try to get this team to the next level.
All right. Mary Kay Cabot. Find her on Twitter at Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, guys.
Mary Kay Cabot on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Yes.
So we got to react to that. Boy, that's interesting. She says not a bridge whatsoever with this 5-year contract, but also what this means for Deshaun Watson. More importantly, what does it mean for Shedeur Sanders? Got to discuss.
The plot thickens on the Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for Van Scoy Hair. If you want the hair up top to thicken.
reporter Darryl Ryder has the very latest at 923thefan.com and the Odyssey app.
Outstanding stuff from Mary Kay. Dave McMenamin here in about 40 minutes. We'll talk LeBron's future with him, whether or not he's coming back to the Cavs, whether or not the Cavs want him back. Seems like they do. What that might mean for the players who are currently on the Cavs, specifically one. Mary Kay was just with us just moments ago. Outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. Some things, obviously, I question. Did you hear the thing about the whole prerequisite thing where I was like, well, why was it a prerequisite? Well, I don't think that was really true, is what she had said right there, which was interesting here. We're doing the horse stuff. Let's hear it from the mouth right now. Mary Kay Cabot on if keeping Jim Schwartz was a prerequisite.
It was a suggestion. Maybe it was a strong suggestion, but I certainly don't think that Todd Monkin took this job feeling like he had to keep Jim Schwartz. I think he took this job knowing that if he wanted to bring in his own defensive coordinator, that he could have done that. And I think that those were the conditions probably for anybody. Now, maybe the younger guys would not have not done that. Maybe they wouldn't have said, hey, no, I don't want that guy. Whereas Todd probably, if he didn't want Jim, would have said that he didn't. No, I don't think that it was a prerequisite for the job.
I sure as hell hope Todd was allowed to do that because he's going to have to now because Jim ain't coming back.
Yeah, I find it.
If Jim comes back, I will not like that either. I got to tell you, I think it's over.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's over. Yeah,
you wouldn't even take him back
because he's just going to come back for money, which means he's going to like the money and then he's going to be pissed. Myles Garrett came back for money. Guess who's pissed?
Myles came back and just had the best year in NFL history,
and they won 5 games.
Yeah. Wasn't Myles' fault.
I'm glad we all got a nice memory out of it. It wasn't Myles' fault. I'm glad we got it. But you know what? I don't think Myles is an active participant in game planning. I don't think, like Todd Monkin. Todd Monkin's a head coach now. He knows how important it is, and he knows how important it is to have assistant coaches because he was a guy at one point who was telling other assistant coaches how effed up the situation was before games in 2019, and then they hired him as the head coach. So he knows that he's going to have guys. You can have healthy disagreements, but you're going to have guys that are on the same page eventually, or even if they're not, willing to work with you. Jim Schwartz is a strong-willed man. He packed his boxes, left. He's a proud man. He's going to bring his boxes all the way back into the studios or back into the facility.
That would be funny. I'd like to see that captured on the next building, the Browns.
It's over. And every time, you guys know this better than I do. You all know it. The second they lose games, which will probably be early and often, considering the roster that we have, that's going to be something that's in the back of your mind. Guys, it will suck to lose Jim Schwartz. He's a good defensive coordinator, but it's now what has to happen. He made that decision yesterday, and they got to stick by it. I'm not just going to let him walk away. I wouldn't just let him walk away, but he can't be on the staff.
I can't get the visual out of my head now. Him coming back in, walking in, goes, guys, I may have overreacted.
Yeah, you're only working with this staff for the money. We have the ultimate team that has to work together is the coaching staff. You're only back here for the money. Excellent. Yeah, because that's going to work for the Browns. We're the ones that make that situation work. Again, I'll go back to the Deontay Johnson. Yeah, we're the ones going to fix Deontay Johnson. Yeah. We're the ones who are going to do it. Yeah, we're the ones who are going to make things all hunky-dory and better with Jim Schwartz.
So we started out the show talking about how Todd Monkin, we both thought was a good football coach. Who knows if he'll make a good head coach or not? You're really just playing a guessing game when all is said and done.
Good coach.
I hate to break it down like that, but did anybody know if Nate Scheelhaus was going to be a good coach? Anybody know if who was the other one? Udinese, if he was going to be a great head coach?
Udinese,
that's right.
Say it right.
So
someday he's going to be great.
30-year-old.
You're never going to be able to forget.
That's right.
I don't know.
30-year-old. Okay, so yeah, well, Josh McDaniels was a really young guy that was a head coach at one point.
Well, you always find a way, don't you?
I'm just saying.
You're obsessed.
So all I'm wondering though is, with all the Monkin stuff, and we've said positive things. This show has said some positive things about Todd freaking Monkin. With all that
Good
said,
coach.
I
hope he doesn't start saying anything about his assistants pregame. That's going to be weird.
Well,
another thing you got to worry about?
Have you ever
Bring
seen
Jim Schwartz back?
A scenario and a coaching search where you had guys pulling out and then publicly making sure to issue statements, almost press releases that they were pulling out, and then to have existing guys in the building? Because it's not just, by the way, Jim Schwartz that's upset about this. I can't remember. Maybe we're not following every head coaching search around the NFL like this, but I cannot remember this many people who walked away from a team going, I'm not happy with that process. I'm not happy with the way this thing went out. Like, is there a way the Browns could have done this any different and still arrived at Todd Monkin where they weren't pissing people off left and right? Because that's what it seems like ended up going down. And this stuff will resurface when they play their games, when they go up against these guys. You know, look at the schedule this year. It's a very charitable schedule, at least on paper right now. But when they go up against these teams and these guys that had to issue press releases on the way out the door,
this might make it a little bit easier to stomach. Is there a fan base that's not pissed off about their coach that they hired? That at least isn't somewhat, with the exception of the Giants. I should say, is there any fan base, not the Giants, that's not even a little bit pissed off? Maybe the Ravens. The other ones are kind of pissed.
Yeah.
Steelers fans, not thrilled. I mean, good God, they were again, he's weeping at the press conference over Pittsburgh. They're calling him a baby later on in the afternoon on that show over there at 93.7. Obviously, it's been a split decision here. No, I thought that it would change a little bit. That time heals some things. Usually there's a very strong reaction, and I didn't think it was going to be positive of a reaction when I got texted yesterday at 9:30 or whenever it was. And then I thought it would kind of cool off. It's still been pretty vitriolic, but it's.
But what I mean,
nobody has said,
Kenny,
they've all been. Real quick, they've all had vitriol about the team, the organization, the ownership. Nobody has said that Todd Monkin is a boob.
No, not at all. Not people.
I don't think he's a boob.
I mean, I've heard him described more as a genius than Nate Scheelhaus or even Udinsky.
If you're Jimmy Haslam, you're like, yeah, I'm a billionaire. People say nasty things about billionaires all the time, but you guys aren't saying he's a bad hire.
What I'm curious though is from the Pelissaro story that comes out when he goes on Rich Eisen and chronicles all laundry list of things that make this a unique coaching search, that other teams don't do it exactly this way. Other teams might have, different traits of a coaching search that the Browns are doing, but nobody makes the guys jump through the hoops that the Browns are. And then it comes out, even though Mary Kay and some others have tried to debunk it since, but around the league, they think that Jim Schwartz was being foisted on, forced on these candidates.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that in any of the other coaching searches. You just didn't.
No.
So what is it about this search that has so many people around the league baffled or critical of the Cleveland Browns and Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry?
Because it feels like you probably should have just kept Kevin Stefanski to a lot of folks. Because a lot of people feel a lot better about Kevin Stefanski outside of Cleveland than Browns fans do.
That is true.
Now, again, let me clarify, because Owen just gave me a look that says I better clarify.
At him.
Oh.
I want to know what other coaching search had a unit that was one of the top in the NFL, and because I don't think forced on is the correct term.
Okay.
For Jim Schwartz, I think it's one of these things like, hey, not only are you taking it, we know that the offense is lacking and there's a lot of things that need to happen, and we don't have a quarterback, but we've got the top player on defense in the league, and we've got under contract the guy that helped him get to the next level of that, and this is almost our present to you of going, don't worry about the defense. If you're an offensive guy, don't worry about the defense. I could understand it if these were young, up-and-coming defensive backs coaches that everybody thought were going to be the next wave of the NFL. But I disagree with that being forced on Jim Schwartz being forced on anyone.
As our gift to you, here's a guy who's going to get real pissed off he didn't get the
obviously,
I'm kidding.
Obviously, that's in hindsight, and you can do your little joke on that all you want, but you didn't know that was going to happen yesterday. You had no clue that was going to happen.
I think a lot of people were wondering.
Because it would have come up in this show before then.
Well, we
How
did
did it not
wonder.
come up in the show?
We did wonder
It came
how
up in the show.
You
how
brought
he
up
would
in
react.
the show in the weeks prior, leading up to yesterday, that Jim Schwartz is going to get so mad that he's going to throw a fit and walk out of the building.
Well, I don't know how much of a fit it was, but I didn't think it was going to. I think a lot of people questioned whether or not it was going to work in the last 24 hours, but no one predicted he was going to pack his boxes and leave.
That's my point of it.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I, at 8
Still
o'clock.
won't be here next year.
So I put up a poll at 8 o'clock. Genuinely curious, Browns fans, which would you have preferred? And I put head coach, Monkin, DC, not Schwartz. I put up head coach Stefanski, DC, Schwartz. Basically the setup as the season ended. And the third option was head coach Schwartz, OC, question mark. And 700 votes are in. Half the voters say they just would have preferred last year's setup.
50-50 is not good.
That is very interesting to me.
50-50 is not
that
good.
means
Well,
people.
that ain't even 50-50. That's 50-25-20.
25. That means people are completely uninspired by all of this. Now, is it because of what I said, the Pelissaro report, the reports about whether or not, the DC was going to be forced? Do you think that is more about the actual process than it is what the process uncovered? Or is it also that Stefanski got a job immediately and people around the league seem to think that he's going to do really cool things with that offense? After what we just saw the last 2 years.
First off, I don't think Browns fans really care about what everybody else around the league thinks. I mean,
You don't think so?
I think they've gotten pretty sick, and at least as of right now, I think they've gotten pretty sick and tired of being told around the league that Browns fans don't know any better. I mean, the Dan Orlovsky stuff enough over this last year was enough to make a Browns fan puke. Basically threatening Browns fans. Oh, you run him out of town and see what happens.
But he
and
was
I think
right.
a lot of Browns fans are going,
He
fine.
was right. Stefanski left, got hired immediately.
I'd
He ended up in
really be
Atlanta.
interested had the Bills made their. I mean, he got hired before the Bills even made a coaching switch.
That's understandable.
Would they have went after Stefanski
But
as well?
I also say this, and this is the second thing. I also say this knowing I don't believe that and you've never disagreed with me on this. I don't believe Kevin wanted to be here. I think it was more of a break than it was you're fired and get out of here. And so it's an official show stance that Kevin didn't want to be here. So if we all know that, I will move on from it. But this was all part of it. I didn't think you were going to have an inspiring hire ever, and you didn't either. So if you didn't think that this show's been telling you that now for 3 months, you are clearly confused on which show you've been listening to on The Fan. Because we all said it's not a great job. You're not going to get a great, big, inspiring thing. Dare to dream. We had John Harbaugh Day. We had a little bit of Sean McDermott here and there. Kurt Cignetti got brought up. And really no Dion got brought up on this show. Except for Friday when we weren't here.
When you weren't here, I laughed at it pretty quick.
Yeah, okay. No Dion got brought up, and then I said basically that anybody saying Belichick was lazy, and I went at Rex Ryan there for a minute. But other than that, it was no, it ain't a great job. This is where we're at. And, yeah, that's what you got. An uninspiring hire who isn't a bad coach. He's a good coach. But it's not inspiring for a job that doesn't inspire a lot. I mean, hell, I'll tell you right now, there were people around Nate Shieldhouse saying, don't take the job. Who was telling a 60-year-old Todd Monkin to not take the job?
They had to.
There you go. 216-474-0092. We didn't even get into the quarterback situation yet. Well, hell, what's this mean for Shedeur? What's this mean for Deshaun Watson, especially after the text I got overnight? Ken Carman, Tone Master General. Dave McMenamin, 920 about the future of LeBron in Cleveland on The Fan.
Anthony Lima, 4.
He admitted that he did not do a good enough job with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, a guy who talked about what a mess the Browns were in 2019, and they're bringing him back to be the head coach. I give him 2 years.
Listen to his reports on the station with the most local sports talk in town. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Kenny, want to do a Connie? Win a pair of tickets to the 26th Greater Cleveland Sports Awards at Rocket Arena Thursday, February 5th. Get tickets at clevelandsportsawards.com. All you have to do is enter the word attend. ATTEND by the end of the hour at 923thefan.com to get registered to win. Good luck.
If you missed a moment in the show, you can use the rewind feature on the free Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in fire, water, and storm disaster restoration. If you missed this moment in the show, don't worry, we're about to play it for you right now.
I don't think that anybody really knows that yet. But one thing I do know is that Todd Monkin was on the opposite sideline when Deshaun Watson in Baltimore came off the bench with a bad ankle and a fractured shoulder and beat the Baltimore Ravens, or helped beat the Baltimore Ravens 33-31 in that game. And so he knows what Deshaun Watson is capable of when he's healthy. And we also know this about Todd Monkin, that he's all about the mobile, dual threat running quarterback. Now, can Deshaun Watson even run any more like that coming off of 2 ruptured Achilles? We don't know. We don't know the answer to that. But he will have a chance. I believe that Deshaun Watson will have a chance, and I've been telling you guys this for a long, long time, that I think that he will have a chance to show what he can do, at least throughout the offseason program. And so will Shedeur. And I don't know about Dylan, but I think it would, at least right now, come down to those 2 guys. And Todd will look at them and try to decide who he thinks has the best chance.
That's Mary Kay Cabot on the quarterback situation. I said I was texted overnight. And, I mean, social media reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Hey, listen, I don't do the text thing a whole lot. I did the text thing at the end of the show, and then what happened yesterday by the end of the show. So, obviously, I mean, I ain't going to make up anything. But a source that I know is very, very good with this says that Todd Monkin likes Watson, wants Watson. So I know that the Shedeur fans are not going to be very thrilled about that. I'm sure I'm just going to get killed on the internet. So I'm just going to turn my computer off right now.
Throughout the process, you know, we keep wondering.
Don't go after the messenger.
When all the candidates are being asked, hey, what do you think of our situation? What do you think of the current quarterback room? What do you think of the draft? What do you think of free agency and the guys that could be available? And I wondered if there were any disqualifiers, or were the Browns open-minded?
I think I'd be open-minded to just about anything, because you are at a, I don't know if you're at a crossroads. I can't call it that. Which, guys, by the way, I take no pleasure in telling you that from what I am told, Todd Monkin likes Deshaun Watson and wants Deshaun Watson.
So if he said that in the process after he was being asked, and he said, hey, Deshaun Watson, how much you guys on the hook for this year, next year? How much have you kicked the can down the road? What if I told you that I can get Deshaun playing at the very least like 70, 80% of where he was 5 years ago? What if I told you that the problem is solved then? With that defense and Deshaun Watson playing in my system, I can have this team much more balanced.
How many years ago?
And with an opportunity, I said, 5 years ago.
If he's playing to 80, 85%, like you said, 5 years ago, that's a playoff team.
Oh, yes. Of course they
are. And that's because of what the NFL is with quarterbacks right now.
Yeah, well, again, 80% of 5 years ago is better than what C.J. Stroud was this year. Way better. So, yes, that would be a playoff team. So, given that, if you're Jimmy Haslam and you hear that, are you thinking, well, I think my search is over? Or are you thinking, man, we tore down all that stuff. We lost partners. We lost season ticket holders. I have to hear about this. I've had to apologize for that worst trade in NFL history. That's what it's referred to as, one of the worst in sports history. If you're Jimmy Haslam, are you saying that is not an option?
I think you might look at it and go, if it were Kenny Carman, it's not an option. Because I talk to the fans every day. It seems that the fans do not want him at all.
Sure, but if he's 80% of where he was 5 years ago, how quickly do the fans change?
Obviously.
How quickly does Ken Carman change?
I need to know, how are you going to get him to that 85%? Because I've squeezed as much as I can out of that turnip, and I can't find anything else out of it. So if you got bright ideas to change my opinion on that, you go right on ahead. Because I think if you're Todd Monkin, you're looking at it going, hey, you're spending $46 million this year on a guy that I am hoping right now they pay him the $46 million. I don't want to do any more hard time on this contract than we have to. Don't want to do any more. I'd much rather see, 100% I'd much rather see Shedeur Sanders out there than Deshaun Watson. But you know what? I ain't the football coach here. So now you have a coach who, if he's telling them that he can actually get the $46 million or close to $46 million worth of work out of the guy and that they can win, of course you're going to listen to that. It's a business. You've invested in this guy. What I don't want to happen is for them to go ahead and have him out there. He either plays really well or he just continues to not be on the field. You can't have a third direction. Now, if he plays 85% of what he did 5 years ago, which, man, I still say fat chance, but if he does that, then, yeah, you're a playoff team and it works out. But I just don't believe that he's going to get to that. And
the next thing I want to know.
What will mess me up is that if he comes anywhere near to better than what he did, it's still not good enough, and then I'm still not helping out the future of my football team, and I'm not playing anybody who's maybe young and exciting and worth arguing about.
Well, that's my next question. If you're Shedeur people right now, I mean, I saw a bunch of Shedeur people yesterday say this is great. He's going to get him to be playing like Lamar Jackson, as if they have that much in common. I don't really see a lot of the skill set in common that maybe they do, but hey, dream big. There's nothing wrong with having hopes and dreams. But I did see a lot of that yesterday, that people thought this meant that, boom, Shedeur's going to be the starting quarterback, no more competition, and here we go. 2026 is your season.
That's pretty patronizing what you just said, by the way. There's nothing wrong with having hopes and dreams. You go ahead and you dream that.
But the guy that was number one and was the MVP a couple of years ago and number one in some statistical categories compared to the guy that was dead last over the last 5 years.
Who's a Pro Bowler this year?
Oh, that's true.
You might as well said, yeah, bud, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah, that's actually how you came out.
Wait a second.
Came off mean-spirited.
Was Monkin somebody that got Huntley into the Pro Bowl? Was that a Monkin offense or no? Was that before him?
I don't think that was before him. I have to go look at that.
I think that was a quarterback. I think that was a Todd Monkin quarterback right there.
Okay.
This is such a bizarre day. Now, everybody hates this. Nobody has called in and said Todd Monken's a bad coach. And I mean, I'm serious.
No.
If I were Jimmy Haslam, I'd be like, yeah, hate all you want. You're not saying I hired a bad coach. So what did I just do? I hired a good coach. If none of you are saying he's bad, then I hired a good coach. Now, I don't like any of the other stuff. Now, this is Kenny talking again. I don't like any of the other stuff there. I don't want to play Deshaun Watson. I think it's probably going to be a waste of time. But, boy, they love their sunk costs, so we'll see. They really do. I mean, how many players have been what we have all thought as fans, lost causes that they've drafted that have continued to stay on the football team? Well, a guy that you paid $46 million and traded 3 first-round picks for, he's going to probably continue to stay on the football team. Oh, and he wasn't part of Todd Monkin, was he? Okay. Who was it? Do you know?
I can go look.
Was that a Greg Roman?
Season.
That would have been Roman, right?
Yeah, I think it would have been
Roman
Greg
burgers
Roman.
here.
Would have been Greg Roman. 216-474-0092. Let me get to Kevin in Georgia. You're first up on the Fan. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. People might not like to admit this because it hurts their feelings, but Deshaun Watson is the only chance you have at a winning season.
You hurt my feelings.
Get, Nakua and whoever else you want. They ain't winning 10 games next year with Shedeur Sanders. He's not that good. He'll never be that good. Put Shedeur Sanders in Deshaun Watson's shoes 6 or 7 years ago. He ain't throwing for 4,000 yards. He might throw for 40 interceptions if he had to throw the ball that much. With the quarterback room you have right now, Deshaun Watson's the only chance you got. Sorry. Jimmy Haslam sucks. He's the worst.
Okay, here we go.
Kevin, do you think that Deshaun Watson's that good?
No, but what are your options?
Well,
you have Shedeur
my
Sanders,
option,
Jalen Gabriel, or Deshaun Watson.
Well, I'll tell you what the other option is, and thank you very much for the call, Kevin. You suck up the room and you go out and get a quarterback next year. If you don't think any of them are good, I don't want to waste time. even if you go out there and you're not good and you find your way to get your quarterback here, I'm saying things I don't ever want to say. And I will not root for them to lose. It will not happen. But I'm telling you, it would be far less of a waste of time to go through this season, suck up the room, have everybody mad at you, go into the draft, go get a guy that you actually want, start to build again with that guy, than, well, maybe. No. It's been 4 years. It's been a waste of time as it has been. It's made everybody mad, and I don't even want to entertain having it last any longer than it needs to be. Because that's all it would be. We hoped for an entire 9-month span off of one half of football, and it happened to be against Todd Monkin. I mean, come on. Just play the kid. Just play. I know you guys are all mad about the arguments that you have online with a bunch of people saying nasty things to you that I think half of them are bots anyway. It's still better than that. It's still worth more. I'd still rather kick the tires on him all day long than any of the Watson stuff, man. Come on.
By the way, I pulled up some highlights towards the end of the year. Malik Willis against the Baltimore Ravens. Malik Willis was phenomenal, and it was a cold weather game. And you know the opposing offensive coordinator was in that game?
Who?
That was Todd Monkin. Wonder what he was thinking.
Eddie and Westlake, do you know the Monkin man?
No, I don't know him. But hey, I'm not mad about it because listen, at the end of the day, the one thing that you could say, like you just said, nobody is saying Todd Monkin is a bad coach. And the one thing about Todd Monkin is different than all these other people that they would have brought in. Was we don't know about the defensive coaches, but the other offensive guys is he's not tied to a system. So that means he can adapt on the fly. And so that's what we need. We need a guy. So we don't need Stefanski was locked into his system, just like back in the day, Mike Holmgren, the West Coast offense, the dink and dunk. I mean, you locked into this thing, and if a guy doesn't fit into that situation, then it's a lost cause. But I don't want to take a quarterback like we did we did that last year. We took whatchamacallit in the third round. If you're not taking a top-end first-round quarterback, I don't want to take Ty Simpson when his.
Oh, I totally agree.
When his scouting report is he's short area accuracy. That tells me.
I'm not talking about this draft. I'm talking about next draft.
No, I'm just saying I'm not interested in short area accuracy and leader. You know what I mean? I mean, we got leaders on the team already, and so I'm going to give a chance for Shedeur Sanders. And/or if it's Deshaun Watson, whatever it is, I just want to win. But at the end of the day, I don't want to take if it's 6th or 7th round and you just taking a flyer, that's fine. But I'm not taking a quarterback in the first 4 rounds. We did that. That's a waste of a pick.
I agree. No, I agree.
Too much.
I agree.
I need too much to be figuring out. Like, let me take a flyer on a quarterback.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Eddie, you're right. Thank you very much for the call. No, I watched Senior Bowl practice the last couple of days. You can't help but watch the quarterbacks because that's what they're going to show on NFL Network and ESPN2 and all the other stuff. And it's like, Taylor Green got a big, strong arm. Luke Altmaier, a lot of people are excited about him. This is day 3 stuff with Luke Altmaier. No. You pay attention because it's your job, but I totally agree with Eddie on that one. Dave McMenamin, do you think that LeBron could come back next year? Do you want LeBron to come back next year? Or was last night it? Dave McMenamin, ESPN. He said that the Cavs would be interested. We'll talk to him coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan. Window Nation.
App members, he has no plans on sticking around. Schwartz is under contract, though, for the 2026 season. Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows. You can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
LeBron wept yesterday over the video tribute that he got here in Cleveland, and some people thought, man, it must really be over. And I thought, no, I think he's remembering the times that he had here in Cleveland, and he's a businessman, and he'll be back in 2025, 2026, 27.
And we'll be doing this again.
We'll be doing this again. But could he be doing it in a Cavs jersey? Dave McMenamin from ESPN joins us right now on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline.
Who had the bigger return to Cleveland? Was it Todd Monkin? Was it LeBron James? Or Dave McMenamin?
Good point. Great question. Dave, answer the question. Go.
I didn't cry, but I did have a lot of well wishes from a lot of familiar faces. I always love coming back here. And listen, if LeBron does end up coming to the Cavs this summer, I'll be spending a lot more time here next season. I don't think moving back, but I'll be here a lot. So I'd welcome it if that is the case. But I am still perplexed just about how legitimate the possibility is. It's certainly a very real possibility, but how real, I still haven't quite figured out.
So where did this lead? So I'm drawing several conclusions, and you can calm me down. I'm an excitable boy, Dave. When I hear that the Cavs, because I don't think that the Cavs are bringing back LeBron unless that they know that this run is over. So tell me I'm wrong, and I'll just move on and be calm now.
Well, let's say they win the championship. I don't think LeBron would go necessarily to a team like that because he wouldn't want to be seen as someone just trying to steal a championship to add to his resume. But outside of winning a championship, why wouldn't they want LeBron James?
Well, that's my whole point of it. I'm struggling to put it together because, this isn't even a question. I got to ask him a question. I don't know how to ask the question other than just to blather my point here. Here we go. I'm going through a lot of emotions here. It was a tough start to the season, Dave. Now they're getting it together, but I don't know if people fully trust them that they're going to get to where they need to go. The Cavaliers, right? And I wonder how much longer Donovan Mitchell's going to want to be a part of this if they can't get to where they need to go. So now it makes me think, are they starting the clock on the current iteration of the Cavs? Because maybe Donovan wouldn't want to be here after this year if they were a failure again in the postseason. And then, of course, that would be more than welcoming if they had to let go of Donovan Mitchell to go somewhere else, that they'd be more than welcoming to LeBron James to finish his career here with a nice goodbye to everybody.
I don't know necessarily that it would mean that, okay, they're starting a rebuild, and the first year of the rebuild, you just have LeBron as the distraction, welcome distraction, I guess. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think let's say they don't perform well in the postseason, the way that kind of the last couple of years have gone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't keep that team together exactly the same way as an apron team, and pay the ridiculous luxury taxes that this team will require Dan Gilbert to pay for another season. They've been patient with the team already.
Yes.
And so, but I don't think that also means that, okay, well, we're moving off Donovan. It means they have $25 million role players coming off the bench. Those are the type of pieces that got to get moved. It's only natural to do that, to remix the pieces that you have to try to find a better one to make an impact in the East. And LeBron James is able to play any type of system with any type of teammates. And so, if he wants to come here, he would make it work and be a winning situation. Like I don't think I would fret like, man, LeBron James coming next year means that the Cavs aren't going to be playing competitive basketball. I just don't think that would be the case.
All right, David Medeman joining us right now, talking. He was there last night about LeBron's return. Two-part question. How much does LeBron have left in the tank if he's on a team next year? And does he have a guaranteed spot in the NBA next year on a roster?
First part, the way he played last night was an aberration for this season. But when he first came back to start this year after missing the first 14 games because of sciatica, there were a couple of nights that kind of looked like that. And so you're like, whoa, okay. I'm not used to seeing LeBron James going 3 for 10 with 6 turnovers and seemingly not have any burst off the dribble. That's interesting because if he doesn't have that, he also doesn't have a ton of one-on-one kind of burst to be an effective defender unless he's in the post, and that can be tough on a team. However, I'd say it's an aberration. Like for the vast majority of the season, he's looked a lot better than that. Now, you go through another 30-some games, the playoffs, a summer, like there'll be continued to a degree of atrophy, but he's still like really is all about the process, treats his body really well. I reported yesterday that he cut out alcohol during his rehab. He's shed some weight. So like he has that mental and physical commitment to be as good as he can. In terms of whether if he wants to play in the NBA next year, will there be a team for him to play on? Absolutely. Will there be every team in the league lining up to say, please come to play for us, King? No, that's certainly not the case. I think it's a very specific type of team that would want him. And you would have to have the right type of coach and or front office and or personnel and or, ownership that, they see the vision of either the business opportunity, the winning opportunity, or I think in the case with the Cavs, you kind of have a little bit of both and the sentimental angle.
Well, I think some of the concerns I hear from fans who are like, all right, LeBron got us our championship. He's left us twice. We've got a team right now, especially playing the way they are, that is kind of gearing up, especially as they get healthier, for a run in the Eastern Conference and maybe more, that they are a little nervous about LeBron because when he's here, it's always been about him. How amenable do you think LeBron is to that kind of a role that he would have to be placed into and he would have to submit to on a championship contender at the literally twilight of his career?
And Luka Doncic leads the NBA in scoring. He has the ball in his hands a lot more than LeBron James does with the Lakers right now. So if Cavs fans are worried that LeBron's going to make it about him and be a ball hog, watch the Lakers, because that's not the case. He is deferring to Luka Doncic. And so that is a degree recognizing where he's at in his career. It's a degree if there's talent around him, he's going to work with it. So, I mean, again, I think this is kind of like how we view this current Cavs team. I think they're very good. I watch the Cavs a lot. I obviously, like many, was disappointed by the way last playoffs went, but I think Garland's injury was a huge part of the reason why we didn't get to see them go further. And it was kind of a what-if factor. But, I'm also a realist. You're only as good as kind of your postseason performances suggest. LeBron James is the best postseason player I've ever seen. It's the best part of his game. And so, if you can add a piece like that, theoretically, to get over the top, I mean, I think it's kind of ideal.
David Medeman joining us, ESPN. He's on the Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline. I actually saw this in one of the YouTube chats. I'm going to go ahead and take it from one of the people who brought up, what can he do for a guy like Evan Mobley? I think fans have been a little bit disappointed this year. He's been injured, obviously, but he hasn't reached that unicorn status that we've been talking about for a long time. If a year with LeBron next year, could that set sail with Evan Mobley for the rest of his career?
I think it could help. Mobley, I remember talking to a member of Bickerstaff's coaching staff before JB was run out of town, and he was lamenting the fact that, man, if this guy could just develop, we wouldn't be worried about our jobs. He's made some strides since then. However, I think, again, he's kind of a ceiling piece for this team. As he gets better, or if he gets better, that changes the trajectory of what you can expect out of them. And so there's the simple things that LeBron will be able to create for him. He drives for all the defenses, lobs and dump offs and that type of thing. Then there's the osmosis type of thing that Evan can pick up from seeing the way LeBron treats his body. Now, I understand that Evan's pretty maniacal about, how he treats his body. So that's a good sign already. But, the little things like, ice baths and hyperbaric chambers and dedication to sleep, all those type of things. And also film study. LeBron's watching games all the time and watching specific film clips all the time. That allows him to have an encyclopedic knowledge of what every team is running and et cetera, et cetera. Those are the type of things that could certainly benefit someone like Evan, especially as a defender, because he has the physical traits. And if he has that extra couple seconds of instincts of what a team is running because he recognizes it from film, you can shoot the gap and he can know where to be and, be that much more effective. And so all those ways, I think LeBron could benefit a guy like Evan.
Dave, with this surge from the Cavaliers, albeit not healthy still, and who knows how healthy they're going to be the rest of the year, they're now tied for the 4 seed, just like that, when we were talking about a play-in team just a few weeks ago. So what are you hearing around the league? You get a chance to be in a lot of different gyms. You talk to a bunch of people. What are you hearing about how seriously people are starting to take the Cavs and this iteration with Jaylen Tyson playing as well as he is, and getting Sam Merrill back and still waiting on guys like Max Strus, and now Evans out and Darius Garland's out. But it seems like Kenny Atkinson is finding a formula now where they can win games where they're not fully healthy.
Yeah, I was in Portland a couple weeks ago, and that's when the Cavs beat the Sixers with that excellent performance from Jaylen Tyson. And I was talking to a couple scouts, actually, that watched that same game and, just raving about the fact that, hey, that's kind of what they've been missing. They were top 5 team in 3-point shooting last season, and this year basically been bottom 5 most of the year. But if you get a guy like Jaylen Tyson going, Max Strus back in lineup at some point, okay, I can start to see the vision here. And again, I think the real smell test will be what they do in the playoffs. And so, I don't think for the people I talked to, they were never really written off. There's the Detroit and the kind of the Bostons of the world, and the Knicks, I guess. And then Cavs would be kind of that next breath of contenders in the East. And that's kind of where they are right now. And they're going to have to prove otherwise that they belong to be in a better echelon. But they're in a good spot right now. They're in a very good spot. But really, to pay the type of salary and luxury tax that this team is going to be paying, you kind of have to be in a great spot. And so they have plenty of runway ahead of them to get there. And again, the Mobley injury and the current toe injury for Garland, I don't think either are considered very serious. And so they both should be back relatively soon. And, Max Strus, I think, has been out longer than anybody anticipated, but it's not like anybody's not thinking he's going to be back this season. And so they should have a good stretch of games if the other guys can stay healthy in the interim, like where we get to see what this team really is going to be. And you got a heck of a coach, Kenny Atkinson, and let's see how it looks. Like there's a chance for them, but they're in a you got to prove it situation. I would say to be having any kind of sense of like we deserve to be kept together as currently constructed.
Dave McMenamin joining us on the show. Where will Giannis be next Friday morning?
You know what? Like, I still have a hard time seeing him being moved before the trade deadline. And I think a lot of it's just the business of the NBA. Like, the Lakers, the team I'm around all the time, they have a very specific scenario. I'm not saying the Lakers are going to be the team that they would be able to acquire Giannis. I'm just saying, like, because of the NBA calendar and the way the Ted Stepien rule comes into play, the former Cavs owner, where draft picks, you can only trade so many at a time, and you can't trade them in consecutive years. The Lakers right now only have one draft pick available to them. Come July 1st, they have 3 first-round draft picks available to them to trade. And there's a lot of teams like that around the league. And so if you are trying to get maximum value, if you're the Bucks, if you ultimately concede, okay, we got to do this thing, then you ride out this season, and then you find and field the most competitive offers all around the league. Like, this season's already been a nightmare. Giannis is out right now. He gave himself the self-diagnosis of being out 4 to 6 weeks. And so it's going to be painful this season no matter what. I think you just bite the bullet, ride it out, and then you move him in the summer when, again, there's be more offers out there.
Go ahead, Tone.
Dave, one last question. Kind of surreal seeing Bronny last night, especially the pop from the crowd. LeBron's whole family there. Now to think about how Gloria, not just the mother of an NBA player, but a grandmother, what was that like?
Yeah, I was happy for Bronny. He's, first of all, he's just like an awesome kid. And, for the years I was covering the Cavs out here, he's just like many of us. I saw him shooting baskets on the court at the Q after games. And it's like a middle schooler. And he's, it's been certainly a development in the NBA, but he still has a ways to go in order to be an effective role player and get consistent minutes. But he does the right things. He's about the right things. And he showed a little flash of the burst of the athleticism that I think gives him truly a chance in this league with the shooting the gap to get the steal and the breakaway dunk. And his shot has improved. He had 2 threes last night. And whenever he's gone down in the G League, he's proved that, like, he's a legitimate pro player. He's an automatic 20 and 5 in the G League. So he's I am hoping that at some point before LeBron calls it, whether that's the remainder of this season or if LeBron does play next year, that they get a chance to actually like play some meaningful minutes in a game together. That's yet to happen. They haven't like both been on the court when the game is in the balance, and they both had to make decisions, in order to try to win a game or lose a game. Like that, I think would be a even cooler part of this story of them being in the NBA at the same time. And so we'll see. But yeah, Gloria, after the game, had a bunch of friends and family waiting for LeBron, waiting for Bronny, and to take photos and obviously, spend a little bit more time with them before the Lakers continued their road trip. And, she couldn't be prouder, couldn't be happier. And it's a wild thought. Like, Gloria grew up, not many opportunities, one would think, like kind of on the face of it, based on kind of her means and her upbringing in Akron, Ohio. And, 40 years later, she's looking at, her son, who's a billionaire, her grandson, who's a millionaire. And they're both like two of the most notable names in the NBA. It's pretty incredible.
Dave, thank you very much for the time. All the best to you and yours. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Dave McMenamin, ESPN on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Who the hell wouldn't take that guy back? Not just Dave, LeBron, Ken Carman, Tone Master General on The Fan.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Browns beat reporter Darryl Ryder has the very latest at 923thefan.com and the Odyssey app.
Big thanks to Dave McMenamin for joining us. Boy, we have some audio to play tomorrow. I guarantee it's going to get played during afternoon drive. You have to listen to it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Emmanuel Acho about Shedeur Sanders and Todd Monkin. That's, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh boy. And it begins. We are off and running. Silly. 216-474-0092. Did you, before we put the bow on it, with LeBron yesterday and him, is there anybody who wouldn't want him back next year? Because I think several things have to play out here. We got to see how the season ends, Tone. And they've been playing better. I mean, if it weren't for the whole Brown situation, I'd be arguing with you whether or not we need to flip the switch. Do you think we need to flip a switch this season?
So my question to you is, does that only happen once you get your real lineup? Like, their real lineup...
Is this the real lineup?
I know they've been banged up all year, but they had so many issues. The effort was being questioned every night. Now, with all the injuries, they've been forced to find other answers, and Kenny Atkinson, got to give him a ton of credit. I mean, people were starting to sound like they were ready to run him out of town. Not everybody. But then
I like
the voices,
how you said that about JB Bickerstaff.
I know, I did hear that.
Like, oh boy, that's a way to put it.
It's not like people were screaming about it, but people were like, man, it's the most expensive roster in the NBA, the only second apron team, and then now there's no effort, and you got second-year players like Jaylen Tyson questioning the veterans' effort. Like, what are we paying you for, Kenny Atkinson? Well, very quietly, and he had picked apart a bunch of their flaws throughout the year, they've gotten better, but it's not the way that you thought it would be them getting better. You know, it's a bunch of guys that used to be either on two-way contracts or draft picks that you didn't think were going to be contributing to this extent. So my question is, do we crown them now with a flipping of the switch when there could be a process of getting the guys healthy again and then trying to work through them as they're trying to figure out what they can and can't do on a basketball court?
And I hear what you're saying, but I asked you, is this the lineup? Because I'm already getting the questions. I don't think that they are better as they are with this roster. You can't make moves, but if you could make moves, of course you could make moves to make the team even better. But I'm getting it again where, we're better without Darius Garland.
Well, listen,
we're better without Darius Garland. I go, no, we're not better without Darius Garland.
And obviously it's been a herky-jerky start and stop season for Darius, and he's still trying to figure out what he could do when he was healthy. But the issue is that, he's defensively, it's going to cause you issues, but they're not going anywhere in the playoffs unless Darius is playing his best basketball.
Well, there we go. I thought we learned that lesson. I thought we learned that lesson last year, and apparently we didn't. I'm telling you, I'm starting to get like, hey, flip the switch. Here we go. Are we better without Darius? Every time, man. Every time they do anything without Darius, and they're playing great basketball, and he's not on the floor. There's no doubt they're playing great basketball. They got Orlando fans. They're ready to fire their coach after this last week.
When has Darius Garland ever shown you that he's playing his best basketball in the playoffs?
He hasn't.
He hasn't. Right.
But if he's going to be on the team.
So you're just going off of what's got to happen sometime odds,
well, wait a
right?
minute. I'm going off of what they did after the whole Ty Jerome fiasco against Miami. That's what I'm talking about here.
You cannot count that Miami series as a playoff series.
But that's what I'm pointing out to people. People They are counting that as a playoff series. Tone, you remember at the bar when we were there at Flying Monkey watching that.
Let's go to a bunch of drunks. That's a good idea.
Owen, those are the fans. The drunks are the fans. So those are my loyal customers, those drunks. That was what they were saying when Ty Jerome was beating the brakes off of Miami, and I'm not using it because the next time when they played actual competition, he went away. So it was champion's post for Darius Garland.
Well,
but I'm saying it's starting again. You're agreeing with me.
What are you guys saying? And why are you telling me that if we can't do anything if Darius Garland's not playing his best in the playoffs? I get that in theory. That's correct, but I've never seen it.
Well,
I've never seen him play good in the playoffs.
He hasn't.
You haven't. But
and we've had ample opportunities for that.
The moves you can make or what you would try to make, first off, I think you're stuck. Second of all, the moves you can make, it keeps going back to the same argument. It keeps going back to the same thing. I can't trade a diminutive point guard for somebody who I actually need. It's not going to compute. It doesn't work unless they're trying to just get rid of the guy.
So you're just telling me there's nothing we can do?
There is nothing you can do except for hope that it gets better. Because when it comes to the playoffs, yes, they get physical with him, he gets pushed off his spot, or he gets injured. I'm getting it already again. And I go, we don't learn our lesson. This is who we are. And the only way it's going to change, if we don't do what we're supposed to do this year.
I just don't know how you can get mad at people that are saying that we're better off without Darius Garland.
Easily, I just did.
Yeah, it's easily. Dumb. That's dumb.
But you just called them dumb for what they were saying about Ty Jerome during the Heat series.
These are different people, Ken. These are different people.
Well, they could both
you're
be
lumping
dumb.
everyone in. I'm talking about you two, the guys that actually host the show, not what you're hearing in a bar. I'm talking about you two.
What?
You just said they can't do anything without Darius Garland playing at his best, right? Well, he hasn't played at his best.
And that's why they've been limited in the playoffs.
It hasn't happened.
And that's
it's
why
not
they've
going
been
to
limited
happen.
in the
And if you
playoffs.
live in faith that it's going to happen one day, it's not going to happen.
I'm not telling people to have faith, but we're not supposed to watch the Cavs then. We're not supposed to be any bit excited about the Cavs at all. Geez, so I tell you what, if we're holding the Cavs to that standard, then what have we been doing for the Browns for the last 14 years of the history of this station?
I'll bring it up again.
Whoa.
Donovan Mitchell held us all to that standard. So
making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey,
sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.